everybody. Welcome to Eternal Mooncast, a streaming show about deep dives into all things Sailor Moon, from fan theories to hidden lore to full character studies. We cover everything magical in the Mooniverse. I'm your host, Michi, and with me this month is my co-hosts, Monica, Relia, and Rizuki.
Now, before we dive into this month's show, quick Mooney disclaimer. We would like to remind everyone that these are just our personal opinions. We do not in any way represent Toei or the Sailor Moon intellectual property. We just really like to talk about Sailor Moon.
If you'd like to jump to a specific topic from tonight's show, timestamps are in the description. For tonight's topic, we'll be talking about some of your favorite songs from the Music Kitchen in Sailor Moon. Legendary songs such as Carry On, Power of Love, and My Only Love. We're excited to have our special guests with us this month from the Music Kitchen, Michael Benghiat and John Miyagi Author.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to Eternal Mooncast.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No, our fandom has been so excited since we announced it. They've literally just been shooting us questions for it.
Great. Well, we are here to answer. We're here to tell you all the inside scoop on everything. So
yeah, we saved all the good dirt for you guys.
Ooh, nice.
We're so excited. We want it. We want to know. Do you want us to launch right into questions, or do you want to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves and give us some background?
Michi.
Yeah, why don't we let our guests first introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about the backstory, because we kind of introduced them with letting them know 3 of their biggest songs that the fandom will know.
Great.
How far back do you want us to go? Because we actually met in the 80s, well before, Sailor Moon. So we could start at the beginning, or do you want to start, in the Sailor Moon years? It's up to you.
How about you tell us a little bit about how you met? Because that sounds like an interesting story that you want to tell.
Absolutely.
First of all, I just kind of want to introduce myself so everyone knows who I am. My name is John Miyagi Author. I live in Santa Monica, California, and Michael and I worked on a lot of these songs for the original Geek Entertainment version of Sailor Moon. So we're responsible for the bulk of the original season 1 songs that you guys are well aware of. And Michael and I actually met, and I'll be calling him Miko once in a while because Miko is my name for him. We've known each other as Miko, and he's got lots of names for me. But, our relationship has been going on since we were teenagers, basically. We met my first year in college. And so it's been a number of years where we were doing other things besides just working on Sailor Moon. But, we are here to talk about Sailor Moon, but our backgrounds we're songwriters, we're composers. We worked on a lot of different things outside of Sailor Moon. But like I said, we're here to primarily focus on Sailor Moon, but we're open to answering any questions about the music industry, how we got started, the technology that was used back then. It's so different from what we do now. But there's a lot of information, and sounds like we have 3 hours. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can.
I sent Michi a couple of our songs from Trondaflaunt. So maybe we'll start there. And then also some pictures of us back in the day.
Yes, I have them ready.
We met when I was at UCLA and John was at Pepperdine in Malibu.
Ooh, okay.
And so we actually had a mutual friend, Kelly Coleman. And so she was our singer. And so we actually met through Kelly. And she went to Pepperdine. But I had known Kelly since high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up in a band together. And so then there was another friend of John's, Tim. He was our drummer. And John was playing both bass and keyboards. So he had 2 keyboards, and I was the guitarist. So that was my primary thing. So that's how we started off, just, playing in bands. And the music we played was probably not very commercial. We used to do fugues, really odd stuff. It wasn't really progressive rock, but it was odd. So it did maybe a lot of commercial viability, but we had fun doing it anyways. But we played a lot. We played all the clubs in LA, the Troubadour, many, many times. We headlined at the Troubadour. There was a lot, you may not know them, but there were a lot of other famous clubs like Madame Wong's and the Central. And there you go. There you
go. Yeah.
I love this so much.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. So we look very different from back then, I think.
1983.
Yeah, that's crazy. You guys weren't even born then, I'm sure.
I was 1 year old. So I
You're a
think
one.
one of us
Yeah.
was around.
So yeah, like Michael was saying, we didn't have a bass player, so I would use my left hand to play the keyboard bass and the right hand to play the chords on my Juno
Wow.
60.
Amazing.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
Mika played guitar, and we all sang. Kelly was our lead singer. We sang backup, and we wrote all our own songs. So we're original songwriters from the very beginning. I mean, some of the first songs I wrote as a freshman, we actually performed. So we've been songwriting for since day one.
That's
We also were
really cool.
pretty ahead in the technology. We actually had a little, I don't know if you know what the Mac Classic was. It was a little tiny, one of the first Macs that was really popular. And we actually had it on stage. It was playing a bunch of our parts. And so we had that thing playing along with us live, which was really precarious because the technology was not anywhere what it is today. So in fact, our very first gig was at Pepperdine. And it was like was it a Battle of the Bands? Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we had one song. So anyways, we could play one song. So there was a band before us. And then we had to, we have 5 minutes to get our stuff on stage, hook it all up and get ready to play. And so the curtain comes up and I hit, because we had the computer. So I hit the space bar to hit, so it'd start playing its parts. And nothing happened.
Oh no.
Nothing. And so we're all on stage, we're sitting there and there's an audience of, how many people. And I'm like, uh-oh. So I'm looking around like, what's going on here? So I look and I see there was one of the main cables was sitting there just dangling.
Oh,
So I rushed around and plug it in. And so then I hit go and it starts playing. So the band started playing. So I turn my guitar on and all I hear is all this feedback and stuff coming out. And so I turn it off and I'm pretending to play and I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, why is it doing this? Anyways, the song's going on and I'm not participating. So because I'm sitting there looking at my pedal board going, and I finally figured out I had a delay pedal, which kind of gives you echoes. And it had gotten, in the rush of everything, it had gotten pushed to 10. So anyway, so I went down and I turned it back to where it should have been. And then finally my guitar is okay. And then the song was over.
Oh, no. Ain't that just the way?
So that was it. I actually never really played even a chord. The part is doing. He seems to be just up there kind of miming.
It's
Well, that's what everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what everybody does nowadays. Anyway, it's just canned music and they just pretend they're playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had
I
a lot of great
remember
adventures like that.
Big scandal with Milli Vanilli back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Back then that was a scandal. Nowadays that's what all performers do.
Girl, it's true.
Tons of stories over the years since it's been 40 years now. So.
Yeah, our process has been, when we first got started, everything was what we call analog, right? So we didn't have computers to write to. We weren't recording anything digitally. So what we had was what was called a 4-track recorder. And so it used a regular cassette tape. You could record up to 4 tracks on it. And then after that was it. Or you could record 3 tracks, bounce it over to 1. And then now you had 3 tracks you could record over. So our learning process was really old school. We actually started in the analog age. We were recording everything to tape. We were doing everything live, like actually playing. Nothing was sequenced. And we were mixing, this little tiny, what they call the Fostex 250. It's a little recording deck. And so that's how we first got started. And we have songs. I still have some of those songs from back then. So I have all the historical stuff we wrote, 45 years ago. It's kind of crazy to think that it's been that long.
Wow.
But yeah. And then we grew up through the way music changed from the analog world into the digital. It was a long way to get to where we are today. The computers that we work on now are 100 times more powerful than what we could do 30 years ago. It's crazy what we can do on a computer now. And Michael's been experimenting with using digital singers, where the vocals are done all digitally now, and there's, AI like Suno that's happening now. We come from the old world of actually like learning how to play and playing everything, hiring singers and all that. But these days it's like you can do everything, with AI, with a computer.
Yeah.
You don't even really need to learn how to be a musician. You can just go, okay, you can just write prompts and it'll just write songs. But not when we were writing songs for Sailor Moon. they were actually written, by us painstakingly so.
We
And then one
prefer
of
the
the things
human
we
touch.
had to back then, there was no such thing as QuickTime movies or any kind of digital movie files. So they literally sent you a VHS tape. And so that was, sometimes you had there were two kinds. There was a professional 3/4 tape, which actually had 2 audio tracks. And then there was another one for what they called the time code track. And that's what you would use to sync up your studio with the video. But I think in the Sailor Moon ones, they actually just sent us a VHS. So you got one channel, everything mixed, and the other one had time code. So you had to keep rewinding your tape, and then you had to wait for your system to lock up, and then it would lock and play. It was just, you were constantly shuttling these videos back and forth. So it was a little frustrating on the technology. And then eventually, actually, I think John had hired me to do a commercial, and I think it was around 1999 or 2000. And I said, "Oh, you're going to send me the video?" He goes, "No, I'm sending you a QuickTime." And I was like, "What?" And so he sent me this QuickTime, and I realized, oh my God, what a giant shift, because it was all instant. You're locked the whole time. You don't have to worry about all this wasting of time rewinding and fast forwarding the tape. And anyway, so that was one of the things of scoring to shows back then, and in Sailor Moon, is that you had a lot of technical stuff you had to deal with, and that kind of just took a lot of time, and you were waiting around a lot for it to sync, so you could see, oh, is my music working with the picture? Yeah.
I read Roland Parliament's book on the audio dubbing of Sailor Moon, and it was interesting to hear about the Rhythmo band, I think it's called, is what they used.
Oh, the voice acting?
Oh.
Yeah, for the voice acting.
Timing the voice
okay,
acting.
sorry. I didn't know if it was
Yeah.
at all related.
Yeah, it is related because, back then everything was what we call analog, where everything was on tape. And the recording studios would record to like a 2-inch tape, 24-track kind of thing. And the way that you would record audio is you would have a countdown. It would give you clicks. It would go click, 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 and then that was your entrance. So we always had like what was called like a pre-click or like a 2-pop. So it would tell us when something was supposed to start. These days, it doesn't matter. It's like you send a QuickTime, you know exactly where it's going to start because you know what frame it's going to be on. But back then, what we had to do was we had to supply like a 2-pop or a click pop, they may have called it, so that you knew exactly when it would sync to the start of wherever your music was supposed to start with the picture. Miko, why don't you tell them about that one time we scored that movie where we had to actually get it off a moviola?
Oh boy, that's
you guys know what a moviola?
That's a good reaction.
You know what a moviola is? A moviola is it's because everything used to be done on film, right? Like those big reels of film. Okay, so when they play the movies in the theater, it would actually be a film that would be shown. And the way that they used to edit movies it was done on a moviola. So they would cut the film and tape it back together to where the edit points are.
It was all done, manually. Just everything. Well, same with music. You would, you edited together different takes, and you do it on the master. And sometimes, in fact, we did a recording session once, and we had to cut into the 2-inch master tape, which was really kind of nerve-wracking because if you got it wrong, you just screw up your whole thing. And in this particular case, we had a full orchestra, so we couldn't go back and re-record. So it was, there was a lot of things like that, but
I'm nervous for past you.
So anyway, this movie, it was one of our first jobs, and they had like no budget, which was very typical. And but we were like, hey, we'll do it. And we had a bunch of songs that we had written, and we just been writing them and recording them for any reason. And we just thought, well, let's get all the songs in the movie just because we could. So we did. We just got everything we could possibly get in there. But because it was such a rinky-dinks production, we said, well, can you give us, the VHS tape, so we can score to it? And they're like, no. So John had access to a camcorder, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah,
but
it was a
we
high-end
really had
camera.
to go, and we had to, because the moviolas had a little viewing screen, and so that's how you would watch it. And so we had to take the camcorder and literally shoot it into the moviola.
Yeah, like this.
You had to make your own.
We had to make our own video.
Oh my gosh.
Even the best moviolas, it wasn't very clear and everything. So and then we had to take that home, and we didn't have time code. I don't even know how we did it, but it was just that was our intro to film scoring.
Yeah.
That sounds so stressful.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah,
It's so much easier these days. The editor just sends you a QuickTime movie. It's got time code burned into the video, so you know exactly when things are supposed to start. You just, and then you send everything back electronically, right? You just send them a MP3 or whatever. Back in the day, we'd have to actually mail things. We'd mail a cassette. We'd mail
or you had a
something to
messenger.
someone.
You spent $100
Yeah,
on a messenger to come and pick up your tape and deliver it.
Or we would hand deliver things. Like, okay, because what would happen is Mika would actually go to Deke every week. He would actually go there. Yeah, and he would go there, have a meeting with them. He'd bring back the VHS. We'd work on it in the studio, and then we would deliver it. Hand deliver everything because there was no time. We couldn't, and we didn't have much of a budget. We don't want to spend all this money on a messenger. It's like, it was crazy.
And they were only like 15 minutes away from where I lived.
Oh, good. So
it wasn't like a far.
That's not so bad.
Yeah. Hey, Mika, why don't you talk about how you got the gig? I think people would be really interested in how that happened.
Yeah. I don't even think that's one of
our. That's our second.
Is our second question? Okay.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was
we're thinking the same.
Okay, so as sort of beginning. Well, we started the Music Kitchen together in 1991, and at some point, I don't know, I kind of branched off. That's usually how things go with composers. You want to go do it all on your own, but John and I continued to work together. But at that time, we're always just constantly sending out demo tapes, just trying to get work, and it's a pretty brutal industry. In fact, I'll tell you when I first went to Deke, when I got there. But so we were just constantly calling places. You can never get hold of the people you need to get hold of. So it was just, and I kind of figured out it was like if I made 100 phone calls, I would maybe get 5 opportunities. Now, that didn't mean you got a paying gig. It just meant you could maybe do a demo, or you might get another meeting. And then out of maybe about 100, you got one job that paid. Sometimes I'd make 100 calls a day. It's like that was actually how it started. Before that, if I go back a little bit, I actually worked, I had a day job. I was out of college and I was working in a place, and that place, they had decided to lay the whole company off, and I was in HR. I knew what the packages were they were giving to people, and it was 1,000 people. So they laid off everyone. And so I kind of saw which sometimes some people got better deals than others. And then finally I saw the best deal came about. And so I put myself on the list. So this was in 91. Yeah. And so I got laid off. They gave me a severance and, vacation pay and all. So I had like 9 months, and I thought, this is it, because that's all I wanted to do was just play music and write music and all that. And I thought, I've got 9 months to do it. And if I can't make a go of it, then that's it. So I was calling like crazy. So I was calling all the animation studios, anyone who would just use music, I called them. So there was a woman at Deke, I don't remember her name. And she just, typical, you call, you don't get her, you get her assistant, you can't get past the gatekeeper, and that's, just goes on and on. So finally one day I call, and this woman answers, and her name was Karen Ullman. She was the VP of music. And I'm like, oh, you're kind of taken back when you actually get the person on the phone, because you're not used to it. Most of the time you never get them. And so I was like, so I introduced myself, and I said, I've been sending you guys demos. And it was just really, she was nice. So we talked a little bit. And so she goes, hold on a second, we need to find your demo. So she found it, and she played it on the spot while I was on the phone, which never happens. And I'm thinking, okay. And she goes, oh, I really like it. And, I was like, okay, great. And she actually said, well, we have this show we're working on called Street Sharks. And are you interested in doing a demo for the theme? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, have you ever done, themes for shows? Oh, yeah. I'll tell you say, oh, yeah. Doesn't matter what it is. Oh, yeah, no problem. So I got the information on it, and I had just met Lois Blaze. She was one of the songwriters for these songs. And she actually had a #1 hit of Could Have Been by Tiffany. So she had a #1 song. And I had met her, I forget how. Anyways, I thought, well, she's a #1 songwriter. So let's write. So she came over. We wrote the thing in about 30 minutes. And then we went to lunch, and then afterwards I worked on the track, and then the next day I brought it in, and we got it. So actually, on my site is the Street Sharks theme if you want to, play it or whatever. But it's on there.
Oh, is it on the? Yeah, I can share on the website.
Yeah. So I must say that the whole thing with Deke and getting in the door there was.
It was just a fluke. The one with the jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I remember this. I love that.
They bite, they fight, they stand for everything right.
I love that.
Delightful. We loved it.
Yeah, they're jostling.
Amazing.
Yeah. Man.
So anyways, that was just happened to get it. They liked it, and so that opened the door over at Deke. So then I ended up, doing some other stuff. I didn't get the next couple jobs. In fact, the tracks are on there. There was one called "Mummy's Alive." That was a show. I don't know if you guys remember that.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, I am familiar with both of those shows.
Yeah.
So anyways, so then I got so John and we actually got a show called Ultra Force, and it was we got the whole series, and we were like, wow, because I think we had to do demos for the theme, and so we got the show, and it paid a substantial amount of money, way more than we got for anything else we'd done. So we were like really excited. We're like, wow, our first animated show. I forget it was
I don't remember this at all.
Well, you know why? Because when I tell you what happened, that's why he doesn't remember it.
Yeah, I probably blocked it out of my memory.
Yeah, so I think I remember doing something like 30 demos for the theme. And the producer of the show he was a tough one. So they just kept saying, no, can you change this? Can you change that? That's very, very common in this business to do a million revisions. But we got it finally, and so they gave us one payment up front, and then we started working on the shows, and then the guy just didn't like any of it. And then finally, I got a call from Karen Deke, and she's like, "Well, I hate to tell you this, but you're fired."
Oh no!
That's why I blocked it out.
Our first show.
That's a good reason.
Fired. And anyways, I didn't feel so bad because I knew they hired another guy who'd done a ton of stuff for them, and he got fired. And then she said, yeah, he's just really, he doesn't really know what he's doing, the producer. So I didn't feel too bad. But, at the same time, we were like, oh, we lost this. But I think at the same time, it was like right after that, Karen called me and said, hey, we're doing this show called Sailor Moon. And, do you want to do songs for it? And I always thought it was really funny because if you're able to do score, like underscore for movies and instrumental cues, writing songs is a completely different skill set. You might be a great songwriter, but you can't score anything, or vice versa. So she never even asked me, "Can you write a song?" And I was, of course, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, no problem. So that was it. We got. Then that one, she just gave us the gig. There was no demoing.
Yeah, no demo. Just gave us the work.
Here's the
what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So the initial one was, we want songs. They're going to be sort of half songs, short songs, that are going to go in the show. And this is one of the things, though, I'm really bummed about is that I was always sort of the keeper of everything. I kept all the scripts and the notes and the lyric changes and the different versions. And I think it's because I moved a bunch of times. It's all gone. I don't have anything.
Yeah, that could have been a retirement to sell all that stuff, Miko.
Yeah, honestly.
I did have.
Kind of.
I did a Tarzan series. I do have all those scripts, but that one wasn't as popular as this one was. And I don't
Especially
know what
if you
happened
signed
to the
it.
stuff. I just don't have it.
Yeah, because you have to think in terms of how we worked back then. Everything was analog. So we would, if we wrote a demo, we would put it onto a tape. I think by this time we were using DAT, we were using digital audio tapes. We were tracking everything. So we would have multiple versions of songs, and there were shorter ones and longer ones. And, we did rewrites. There were, copious lyrics. We'd sit there and we like write out lyrics over and over and over and try different things, because that was a process. Unfortunately, we don't have any of that stuff, which we wish we would have kept. But, who knew that Sailor Moon would be such a huge thing?
Yeah, but
because
also,
at the time it was just a job. It was just like another music gig.
Yeah, and unfortunately, back then we didn't have cell phones with cameras, and I don't even have a picture of my studio. I was in that studio for 6 years. I don't have one picture, and so I never took pictures of any of the production or what we were doing or anyone singing. We just didn't do it. It's just unfortunate. Today I'd have hours of video. I'd have a whole documentary on the making of Sailor Moon. But anyway, I do remember though, they gave us scripts. So we were working off the scripts, and what you do when you're scoring a movie, you'll have a spotting session where you'll sit down with the director, and they'll kind of go through and say, we'd like the music to go in here and go out here. And one of the reasons on most videos, you'll have what's called a time code, a visible time code on it. And so you'll see that usually it starts at 1 hour in the beginning of the segment. And so you'll see that, okay, at 1 hour, 1 minute and 4 seconds, they'll say, we want this to happen, and it should build, and then, do this over here. So you had the time code numbers that would help you know where everything was. So that stuff I think we went through either with Karen or somebody. And so then but I do remember, I don't think we had a lot of, we never wrote a song and they said we hate it, just.
Yeah.
Yes, it was just like, wrote the songs, we produced them, and they were like, we love it. On the show it went, which was really kind of unusual.
It was really unusual. And I think maybe part of that is because I think Karen was the one that was making all the musical creative decisions, right? Yeah. And she was very she trusted us as composers and as songwriters. And she was very receptive to almost everything that we gave her. So I think that was part of it. It wasn't like the other guy with the Ultra Force where it's somebody that was really difficult to work with. Karen was really easygoing. But yeah, I don't recall a time when, we got rejected for any of the songs. And going back to what Michael was talking about, the spotting thing, and they give us a script. Originally, all these songs were created for a very specific portion of the show, which was like, kind of like a montage / music video / like high point in the show where, it's like, oh, it's the final showdown with Queen Beryl and Serena and the Sailor Scouts come together. And it's like, okay. And the segment is really short. It's like 60 to 90 seconds. Mm-hmm. So when we wrote these against picture, the songs are really short. Yeah. What I think a lot of people don't realize is the songs that are on these are all remastered and re-edited, and they are longer versions of what was on the show itself. And they sound different. They're remixed, right, Mika, if I recall?
Yeah, well, in some cases, I think there might have been one song we actually changed the song completely. And I know that, if I remember correctly, some fans were like, well, what happened to the version on the show, and the one on the album is totally different?
Yeah,
it just sounds different.
They're different. They're different songs. Or we took the original one, and then we had to write more lyrics to make it longer, so it would become like an actual 2-minute song rather than a 90-second clip. So if you took those songs from the show and compare it to the songs on the CD, they're different. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people really realize that.
And unfortunately, I don't have, I probably have them on a DAT somewhere. A DAT is just like a small cassette, or that's what we kind of mixed onto.
Mm-hmm.
I have one.
I haven't heard the versions, the TV versions, since we did them, 30 years ago.
I'll tell you, that CD
This-
went triple platinum in my house.
This is a DAT.
Oh wow.
This is a
It is
digital audio
tiny.
tape.
Oh,
It's tiny. See?
Yeah, you can get 2 hours on one of those little
A
guys.
baby
Yeah.
cassette.
wow.
So I do have all my Sailor Moon masters, but yeah. But anyways, I never ended up having those TV versions. But the album versions came later. So after the show, I guess already aired. I guess they got some good feedback, and then Karen came back and said, EMI was thinking of doing an album of the songs, and we're like, fabulous. So we got a separate budget. Like the whole thing, you have to remember too, when we did these songs, we had no time. I think it was like 3-4 days like per song, or sometimes it's not even that. We're used to working in like commercials and stuff where they call you at 10 and they're like, can you have it done by 2? Kind of thing. So it's very,
insane.
very quick. So it's not like an album by a band, you might take 6 months to a year. They'll have a $500,000 budget. These were done on like shoestring budgets.
Yeah,
So
the studio. Yeah, and the studio was Michael's home studio. It was in his
Really?
house. It was just in a bedroom.
Wow.
We recorded the vocalist in a closet.
Really?
Jennifer
Yes.
Seehey reminded me of that. I didn't remember that, but because
In a closet.
See, nowadays the computers are they're quiet. So I
Yeah.
could record, in the same room with my computer, but back then I might have had 3 computers, and some of them they were noisy and the fans would go. So you can't have all that stuff going on. So I think we stuck her, and it wasn't like a walk-in closet. It was like a, closet with like the sliding doors.
Oh my gosh.
And I think there was probably clothes and junk in there because
Recording
So-
from a closet is still
that's what
a
everyone's
thing
saying. They sang in the
Yeah.
closet.
that
Yeah.
like voiceover actors and such
Yeah,
who are
people
recording
still do it,
consoles do. Yeah, which maybe I should be doing because the neighbor children no respect for my recording time. There is a closet right there. Would you like to get
Let's go in there.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, just go inside.
Yep.
Yeah, it was all done very, I wouldn't say we weren't in big studios doing, that kind of stuff.
That's
And we were the engineers. If I recorded, I was the engineer, I was the mixer, I was the writer, kind of thing, or both of us were
Yeah.
the writers. And so that's just how it was. We didn't
Yeah,
have budgets to do.
yeah.
Now I must say the album though, the first album, they did mix it somewhere else, but it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't done properly. Is that the place we went to? I can't remember the name of it anymore, but it wasn't really a music studio, like a recording studio. It was like almost like a post house. And a post house is like when you're finalizing a commercial or a show.
Post production.
Mhm.
Post-production house, yeah. It's a different, they go there and they're not set up for, they don't have all the gear and all the compressors and all the things that are going to modern music production. Is kind of just really stripped back, and it's not designed for that. They're designed for just mixing a few tracks together, for a show. You might have music, dialogue, effects, and maybe something else. But I remember I had to bring my whole studio, basically I had to put it in my car and bring it over there with all the synthesizers and things. And that's my main, I just felt like I wish the production was bigger because it's really pretty thin and I never liked it, but it was just, we didn't have the time, and just that's just what it was. But nobody seemed to care. That's this musician thing. We're like, oh, we want it to sound big.
That's what I'm like. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? I'm
Yeah.
such like.
But listen to a song today and listen to those songs, and they sound puny. Just
Yeah, the production value is
comical.
different. Yeah.
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 But they connected with the audience, which is what ultimately it's what it's all about.
No,
Yeah.
they definitely, every Sailor Moon fan that I've been talking to that we told are doing this episode like freaked out. If you guys don't mind, do we want to start with questions with Rizuki? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Actually, our first couple questions have already been answered.
I was gonna
Our
say.
very first question, our very first question for you was going to be like, how did you decide to get into TV music? And
Oh.
you explained that was not like I decided to go into TV music. TV
Yeah.
music found you.
Yeah. Actually, I can expand on that a little bit
Sure,
because
please do.
because we, Michael and I, we were, we played in the band and we were like writing songs, this and that. But one of the first jobs that I had, and actually it was my main career, I was an advertising agency producer. So the first real job that I had outside of working at a temp agency, I worked at a temp agency that Michael was working at. So they sent me out on jobs. So they sent me out to a place called BBDO, and it was an advertising agency at that time in Westwood. And I ended up being a floater where I was working in different positions. And eventually I got into the production department. So I became an agency producer. But that's when I realized that there are people that were writing music for commercials. And so I was working my way into writing music for commercials from the agency side.
Right.
And that's how we got our first agency gig, because I worked there.
Right, because John called me up one day and he's like, dude, he goes, we pay these people,
Dude.
these guys like $20,000 to write 30 seconds of music. And I was like, what? And so I said, how do we get into doing that? And so we were just like, I can't believe, you could get these kinds of jobs. And there were union jobs on top of it.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was the beginning, and it took a long time, and John weaseled his way in there.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Basically I was developing relationships with the producers, and there were some smaller jobs, and I said, hey, let me and my partner write some music for this commercial. And eventually, after I asked about it 1,000 times, they said, okay, we'll give you a shot. And so one of the first commercials we ever did was for Oral-B toothbrushes. So I think we got
Really?
paid what? Yeah, we got paid like a couple $100 or something.
Yeah.
And so,
Wow.
and it was a commercial where they just showed this dentist guy, and it was like brushing his teeth, and the music was just like, and they paid us a couple $100, but it was our first commercial. Then after that, we started building on that as our stepping stone. So we eventually landed like a bunch of Apple Computer PowerBook spots. So we did like 5 or 6 of these commercials for Apple Computer. And it was weird because like
the Newton was the precursor. It was a handheld device. It was the precursor of the iPhone.
Whoa.
And so that was one. So we ended up doing a radio spot for that. But
yeah. So it was kind of weird because I was actually working there as like an assistant producer, editor, but at the same time I was kind of moonlighting as a composer with Michael as my partner as the music kitchen. So it was a little strange because they actually had to pay him. They couldn't pay me because I was already working as an employee. So it was a little gray, right? But it gave us the momentum to start going after jobs because we could develop a reel after that. We had an actual 3/4-inch videotape VHS that we could send to other advertising agencies, and we started getting work. So that was our start into making music that we actually made money in. And then we moved on to other things like film scoring, writing music for videos, like workout videos. Kathy Smith was one of our main clients. We wrote a bunch of music for those Kathy Smith yoga videos. And then eventually we got into, writing songs for TV shows and animations. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of different things we did to move into becoming composers full time.
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
Thank you. Did Rizuki have questions because I know you have a limited amount of time with us.
I had one.
Do it. Ask your question.
Okay. So first off, thank you. This is awesome. My question for both of you is based on what you just mentioned into how Sailor Moon kind of fell into your lap. Did either one of you have any insights into anime or that kind of realm of animation? Did they give you any insight onto what Sailor Moon was, or did they say, here, go with God, figure it out?
Yeah, they never heard of the show. They didn't really give us any kind of backstory or anything about like what the whole genre was about. It was just like this is what we're working on. Here's the video. No, maybe I think John, you might have known more about manga stuff than.
はい、私は日本人です。So I'm actually half Japanese. I'm originally from Okinawa, Japan. My mom's from Okinawa. I was born in Okinawa, and my dad is from the Philippines. So growing up as a kid, when I was there from the time I was born until I was about 6, I did watch I read manga, and I also watch anime, Japanese anime, on regular TV. So I did have some inkling and understanding of what, some of the stuff was. And there were a lot of cultural things that I would catch in the show. And as you guys well know, that the Japanese version of the show is actually quite different from the American edited version, because there were a lot of sketchy things that were going on in the Japanese version. There was a lot of like, sexual things and what's going on here with that. So, it had to be toned down for the American audience. But so
yeah,
I did have
they actually, Karen played me some of the original uncut stuff, and I was kind of like, wow, there's like nudity, and there's there's definitely some of the relationships which they changed. You guys know all this, but there were gay characters and things, and they had to change all that, and I was kind of like, oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I wasn't aware of Sailor Moon itself, because that was way beyond, after I came to the States and stuff. But so I had a basic understanding of anime, and I'm actually a huge anime fan now as an adult. But at the time I was just like, oh, well, I know what this is, but it wasn't as if I was really aware of the Sailor Moon story.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I can say though, when the show was on, I got totally hooked.
You did?
It was on like 6:30 in the morning.
Yes.
I remember getting up and I'd be like watching it and eating breakfast, and I got totally hooked into the plot.
Yes.
Like I kind of saw that. Yeah, this pulls you in.
The top row
really
of the call were all like in high school when this was very popular.
Yeah.
So we also remember cassette tapes and when the movies used to be on film, and when the internet wasn't like this.
And getting up very
early to watch Sailor Moon.
Very early.
And then running to the bus stop.
Yep.
Yeah. And they had specific channels for like late night, like adult anime,
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So why don't we get into some of our questions? I want to dive into, so now you've gotten this project, and what sorts of things did they tell you as part of the project? Did they provide you with access to the original Japanese soundtrack? Did any of that influence your creative decision? What does the material that they provide you look like when you're getting Sailor Moon as a job?
I don't remember if they gave me like maybe some of the Japanese music to listen to. I don't remember. It's been a long time. I'm thinking they didn't. And if they did, I would have been like, wow, because that music was much different than what we did.
Yeah.
So they may not have, just because they didn't want to influence us, And I'd say they just kind of left us alone to do whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we definitely wrote the music in the American pop world. It wasn't as if we were taking Japanese songs and making them into American English songs. I think those segments that we were writing for may have had Japanese music, or either it was underscore or it may have been Japanese songs, but I don't recall them sending us like the actual original Japanese songs for those segments. And of course they edited videos so much, it was probably quite different from what the Japanese shows were quite different from the American shows. But as far as direction, Mika and I have different recollections about this, but there's this one song on there which I call the friend song, right?
Yeah.
What's it called? What's the song called?
Call my name.
Call my name and I'll be there, right? If you listen to that song and listen to the Friends theme song by the Rembrandts, it's the same thing.
It's close. It's like there's another one.
Think about it.
I Want to Be a Star definitely was modeled on Vogue by Madonna.
Yeah.
And and there were a couple of ones, because you have to remember too, we were under a lot of pressure to write a bunch of songs in a very short amount of time. Yeah. So you're kind of like, I never really got stuck with the looking at the blank screen and oh my God, I can't come up with anything. But I know at the time that Billy Idol was big on the radio. So I remember hearing Rebel Yell. I don't know if you guys know that song, but that was kind of like, I like the energy. That's what kind of was the beginning of Carry On.
Yeah, the beat. It's like
yeah, I like that just driving beat. So that was from that. And then My Only Love, that one came very quickly, but again, there was a song, Eyes Without a Face. And I kind of stole that progression of that song from that song.
It's weird because I actually have a very different memory of that song, because like I picture myself actually playing those chords, but I don't remember the reference. I'm like, because I mean, the progression to me is like something I would like come up with. That's kind of like my style. And so I'm like, did I just come up with that? But your memory is very different from what
I remember
recall.
sitting at the keyboard and that just came right out. And I think I sent it to you. I think you did the lyrics on that.
Yeah, I wrote most of the lyrics on
Yeah,
it.
and I think like I sent it to you, and it was like literally like an hour later, you're like, here they are. And the whole thing just happened quickly, which is what happens with songs. Sometimes they just come very quickly. And you're like, wow, that just all came together. And other times you fiddle with them for months, and then you're still like, yeah, it's not right.
Yeah, it really.
Yeah, Carry On was another fast one.
Yeah.
I remember just thinking,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the opening. I want to do something interesting in the beginning. This had nothing to do with the Billy Idol song, but that little da 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 da. So that I just came up with, and then it just kind of went into the thing. And then when it came to the guitar lead, you know, I was a Eddie Van Halen thing, so I thought, oh, I got to throw in some of the so I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, by the way, and I kind of agree with Story Lily right here, who has said the music was so perfect for the show movies. It seriously changed my brain chemistry. The music made the scene so much more impactful. Like, genuinely, I agree. There's a reason that my favorite, I think you guys impacted my music taste as an adult, because my favorite K-pop group ever is called Dreamcatcher, and they're a rock-inspired K-pop group. And I seriously look back at my roots and I'm like, it's because of you guys.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, you know, one of the things that is on my bucket list, you know, as a composer, as a songwriter, as a musician, I always wanted to write a song that people would fall in love to. And then years later, I realized that I had already done that with My Only Love, because like people started posting stuff like, oh yeah, we use this for our wedding march, like when we walked in our wedding.
Yes!
And I was like, oh
yeah,
what?
Aaron called me up and said, we're actually thinking of producing the sheet music because we're getting so many requests for weddings. And, you know, and I was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So when you were tasked to write these songs, what did they provide you then with? A finished video of the show, just missing the song, or with the script? Like how did you know what you needed to write other than it needs to fill this time slot?
If I remember correctly, all the background music, the underscore was already done. So that was already there. And then we'd get the video, you'd probably see, you know, 20 seconds before. So you kind of see what the music was doing before, and then just be a blank. There's just silence, you know.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And they just we talked about. I think I remember the one "It's a New Day," which is one of my favorite songs. No one seems to ever talk about that song. I always thought that came out really well, but okay. But that one I specifically kind of remember the notes were just like, we just want something really happy. That was like the notes from the producer, happy, and that was it. So that one came out.
Yeah, sure. That actually segues really nicely into one of our next questions, which was that we understood that the main theme song, the background music, they were all scored by Bob Summers via Don Perry Music. Did you ever interact with each other at all? Or like, you just said that you got the tape with with the part where your song would be basically.
Yeah, we're kind of figuring it out and everything.
Yeah.
Is that typical? Was that like a normal process to have one team do like the background music and another do these like featured tracks?
Like in a regular movie, you'll have the composer the music's always done at the end, which is good and bad. But for most films, if it's all the underscore will be done by usually one composer, but the songs, they might have a music supervisor who's actually working out where the songs are coming from, usually from, you know, artists, or where they just find stuff. So a lot of times the composer isn't doing the songs that are like source songs, you know, playing in a bar or in a car. That comes usually from other places. So a lot of times you'll be like, hey, don't score this because we're going to have a song playing from a car. You know?
Right. And the only time that one musical entity would take care of all the music from front to back, including songs, would be like a low budget thing. We worked on low budget stuff. So we would actually do the underscore, plus we would write songs for those bar scenes or for, you know,
Right.
a love sequence or a montage. So
Yeah, the one we talked about, we just thought, let's just throw all of our songs in there.
Yeah. And we also actually wrote some songs specifically for the movie. The movie was called Shadow of the Dragon. And we wrote a song called Shadow of the Dragon. So we did write that song. Yeah, for that film. But in most cases, on a larger budget, it's like there's the composer who does the underscore. Songs are done by the music supervisor, working out the licensing with the record companies, with the writers and stuff like that. So there are two different entities.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you so much. All right. We were wondering, what was the process for hiring vocalists who performed on your songs like Jennifer? Were these people that you had previously worked in-house with, or were they hired separately?
We actually held auditions for a whole bunch of vocalists. I think maybe like 20. And somewhere, I can't find it, but we had an audition tape because I remember going to Deke and we sat there and played all the singers that we thought, and then we kind of narrowed it down who was going to be Sailor Moon, who was going to be, you know, Sailor Mars and all that. I can't remember how we came across Jennifer C, but we were always hiring vocalists and different people for jobs. So somehow I had her number and I got in touch with her and she came over, and I think we kind of knew when she first sang it, she's got the right, the sound and everything for it.
Yeah, she had the right intonation. She had the right kind of delivery, because we were looking for someone that sounded really youthful, but, you know, had an innocence about them. There was a lot of things that were working for us.
Yeah. And Sandy Howell was just a friend of ours, because
it was a friend.
I've written a lot of stuff with her. She's a great songwriter too. And I remember she wanted to be Sailor Moon, but it didn't quite work. So she was a little bit bummed, but she got, I think it's Sailor Mars. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think so.
And she ended up singing back, because she's really great singer and she's very good at doing backgrounds really quickly, perfectly on pitch. But I know that caused, for some of the fans are like, why is Sailor Mars singing in the background of this song? And, you know, it didn't make any sense. And it was just because because, you know, if she wrote the song too, then I didn't have to pay her to do all the background. So it was kind of like,
well played.
Yeah. And Sandy's an incredible musician. You know, she's a technical singer. So like, if we play something for her, she gets it like that. And then we're like, okay, can you do the harmony? She does it like immediately. She doesn't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
That's how good she is. So like, you know, because like Jennifer, she's a great soloist, but, you know, she's not as technical as Sandy was. But, you know, Jennifer has a quality about her that we felt fit better for her role. And going back to this, I had mentioned this previous to the call. There's this crazy thing that went out for a long time where people were saying the singing voice was Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Never
happened.
You were telling me.
Never happened.
Oh my God.
I actually knew of Jennifer Love Hewitt before she was big, because I worked at a music house and she was actually a singer that was like on the roster. But I never worked with her. We never had her come in to do any Sailor Moon stuff. So I just want to squash that ridiculous rumor.
Wrong Jennifer.
Wrong Jennifer. Yeah.
Every Jennifer is different. So we want to talk about some of these songs that had these specific vocalists on them. Because something that we noticed was that most of your songs do seem like they're coming from sort of a point of view format. Obviously, Jennifer C. is Sailor Moon, and then separate performers providing those vocals for Mars, Mercury, and Jupiter, Call My Name, Oh Starry Night, Only Memory Way, Rainy Day Man. But the song, She's Got the Power, is actually unusual because it's the only Sailor Moon song you wrote that's sung by a male vocalist. And so we were very curious about that. It stands out in that way. Did you consciously decide to bring in a male vocalist for that specific song? Or was the process for developing that song different?
I had nothing to do with it. I'm not on that song.
Well, there were two songs that I don't remember. Either I was running out of time or I just had another gig that was coming up. So one of my good friends is a composer, Matt McGuire. And at the time, he was actually dating Sandy Howell. So they were kind of a songwriting team. And he's a great producer, great writer. He's done tons of animation over the years. So for whatever reason, I don't remember, I think I passed that last song off to him. So he did Power of Love. Not Power of Love.
She's got the
power.
Yeah, She's Got the Power. I play guitar on it, but that was kind of my only, input on it. So I didn't really write the song or anything. Why we used, and it was Stan Bush. I don't know why, but there was a whole nother people are saying, I don't know who that is. It's not Stan Bush. And, but
it was Stan Bush.
It was Stan Bush. Yeah. Because we hired him for other jobs.
So it truly did have a different development process. That's so interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't really involved in it. And same with the other song I just mentioned that Matt produced and Sandy, they did it together. And I played acoustic guitar on it. Yeah. I don't even remember where that song, if it came out on the second album. I'm blanking on the name of the song. I haven't heard those songs in years. So. I wasn't really involved. I think I was probably just too busy, or I was trying to wrap up the other songs. And
because you can hear it in the production too. I mean, there, when you listen to the songs that Michael produced compared to the way that Matt produced a song, it has a different quality about it. It's just like the approach to mixing, the approach to recording, because every producer will create their own signature sound, and there'll be little quirks that they do. They like to mix it a certain way. They like to have the levels of the drums louder, for this kind of thing, or they'll mix it differently than what Michael would have done. So you do notice those things if you listen to it as like a music person.
Yeah, I tended to put little bells on the choruses. If you notice, if you listen closely, you're going to hear a lot of bells playing the melody in the choruses.
Oh, that's so cool.
I think that's a little bell patch on one of the keyboards, and I just thought I did it.
Added,
it's kind of like now it's a little signature. Actually, there was one thing this is the only thing I can remember that I had to fight with Karen Ullman, the VP of music, about. At the end of My Only Love, I had this, there's a little device called an EBO, and it's like a little electromagnetic driver. And so instead of playing the guitar and plucking the strings, you hold this over the strings and it just vibrates them, and it gives you infinite sustain. So I came up with the idea, and if you listen, it's in the end of the song, it comes in and it kind of goes down, and I just really liked it. And I put a delay on it. It had a little bit of an ambiance to it. And I don't really like it. And I said, yeah, but I love it. I think it makes the song. And so we had to, and in the end, it's in the song, but it's like little buried. And I never liked that. And I got to keep it in there, but I was not able to get it up to the level that I thought it should have been.
Well, now we're going to be listening for it. Now
I'm
delighted.
I have a little tangent regarding Karen Ullman. Karen and I actually lived in the same townhouse complex in Santa Monica. Just totally random. Like, I don't know how it happened. It wasn't like she said, oh, there's a place that's available for rent, John, so why don't you go rent it? No, we just ended up in the same condo complex, right? So I'm renting this townhouse. She's like 2 buildings away. So when we found out, we're like, oh my God, we're neighbors. So when she found out about this, she was going to go on vacation. And so she asked me if I could come over and feed her cats and clean out the litter box. So I did this at least twice. I did it when she went to like the Bahamas for a week, and then like she went on, she was away for Christmas or something. So I was her cat taker care of.
Cat sitter.
Michi, you said you wanted the dirt.
This is the dirt.
Now it's the dirt.
This is the dirt I was hoping for.
It's so crazy, right? It's like, what do you mean you live here?
So funny.
Right.
Well, one thing, she actually used to work for Hanna-Barbera back in the day. Yeah, really? She has a long history of being in the animation business. So she knew a ton of people, a lot of big composers and songwriters. But I know that she really liked Sailor Moon. It was when like the fans, she was a big fan of it. And usually that doesn't happen with, the executives on the show. It's just another job, But she was really a fan, and I think she especially liked My Only Love. It just seemed to be, it seemed to hit a lot of people, just spark with a lot of people, and it did for her too.
My Only Love is my favorite.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Rizuki, which one's your favorite?
So from the first album, I would say it's My Only Love and Carry On. But from the second album, it's I Want Someone to Love. I really like that song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Okay, so we touched on it a little bit in earlier conversation, but if you have more to say, I'll ask this question. What influences inspired you when you were writing the songs?
Influences, did you hear that, Nico?
No,
What
I
what,
missed the
are-
question.
what were the influences that would inspire us to write these songs?
Yeah, I know you mentioned a bunch of songs that you had kind of copied lightly, but if you have
Mhm.
other thoughts on like things that inspired you or inspired your writing process, we would love to hear about them.
Well, one of the things that Michael and I did, even before we wrote songs for the show, was that he and I, we were songwriters. We were quite prolific as songwriters, and we've also we are also huge fans of artists and songwriters. That special artists that write their own music, and one a number of my influences have been people like Elton John, Billy Joel. And actually, when I first met Michael, one of the things that we really had in common was our love for Queen, the band, Freddie Mercury, And it's funny because it's like that was our kind of connection through our friend Kelly, because like all of us are totally into Queen. And the way Kelly and I met, she was a year older than me. I was a freshman, at Pepperdine. And I was in one of the rooms. There were pianos everywhere. I was in one of the classrooms and I was playing the piano, and I was playing the introduction to You Take My Breath Away. And she rips open the door, and she's like, her eyes are like huge like saucers. She's like, oh my God, is that, Take My Breath Away? And I'm like, yeah. And then so we just started talking about music. And then she was just like crazy that, we had met, and we had this thing in common, our love for Queen. And that's how, Michael and I, we also share that fascination with that band. And so a lot of the writing that we did when we were in our first band, Trondeflon, was kind of based upon a lot of those styles. Like it was rock and roll, but it was like really melodic, and it was like dramatic, and it was theatrical, those kinds of things. So we were influenced by a lot of different bands and into our songwriting even way before we got into songwriting for the show. And we were trying to write songs for like placements. We were trying to sell songs for other artists to pick up to use for their records or for movies and things like that. I've always been a songwriter. I still try to write songs to this day. I really haven't been able to with my current career, but now that I'm retired, I'm going to get back into doing a lot more music stuff. And, he and I, we were actually talking about doing some new work for Sailor Moon. So
We're crossing
That's
our fingers.
We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we just couldn't pull it off for this.
we couldn't pull it off for the show, but it's still something that we are definitely going to do.
We've got the ideas, and we just have to implement them.
When you're welcome back.
Always welcome back.
Yeah.
Please, it would be a joy.
Yeah.
Please.
I've actually written a song. I've written all the lyrics for one song.
Oh.
So I have it. It's in my head. I just haven't produced it. So
That's so exciting.
yeah. So, it's something that he and I talked about when we found out that it was the 30th year, 30th anniversary last year. And so we started talking about, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, let's just write a couple of songs just as like a thank you for the audience, like the love that you guys have for the show and for the music, and for all the years that we've enjoyed the support. It's like, yeah, let's do something for everyone where we're not in it to like make a buck, because how are we going to do that? We can't. So we just want to do something to give back to everybody. So that's one of the things I plan on trying to get out, hopefully before the end of this year.
That would be incredible. The fandom,
Yeah.
we would all lose our minds.
It's true.
Yeah.
Easily.
Collectively.
Well, that's one of those things that we've done a lot of jobs over the years, but most of it is in underscore. People don't really hear it. It's just part of the background of the show. So this was really one of the only ones where we actually were able to kind of make a difference. People said it really made a difference. I mean, I can't believe how many people would say that I was like depressed and I was like suicidal, and I listened to these really happy songs, and it took me out of that, and I'm like okay today. And it's like, wow, that's that power of music to do good. And so it's, for us, it's kind of like, that's really amazing that we had a tiny part in that, where something we did has a longer life than just sitting in the background in some show. So that people don't even really notice. So that's been really great about this Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
We're obviously very glad that you guys did. So we want to talk about, there was a second season compilation album that you guys put together. And we know that there are a number of songs that look like they were created for that compilation album with music that appeared in season 2. And then we know that season 2 had definitely fewer vocal tracks. And so it looks like some more songs were put together to fill out the track list of that album. Can we talk more about the development of that second season album?
You're talking about what did they call it? What was the name of that album? I didn't have that much to do with it. It was almost like, I think I talked to Karen and she was like, well, we're going to do another album, but it's not really going in the show.
Right.
It's kind of like an album. For whatever reason, I think I only got 3 songs out of I didn't even know there were other people doing, songs, and that really odd Beatles song in there.
Yeah, there were covers in there. Yeah.
That was really weird.
Yeah.
So they opened it up to other people. I know some of the writers were, they'd done a ton of stuff, but that was fun anyways. It was just kind of like, you can just write a song. And, I think one of my favorites was Who Do You Think You Are? Just because, actually, there's a real funny story on that. Somewhere I have the outtake, because at the end of the song, they start arguing. You're a meatball head and I faded it out, but by the very end, they were like swearing at each other. So I had to cut it out before that because I thought that's not going to fly.
Amazing.
But there is
the uncut
version.
We need the
I know that'd be like a really great one for the Sailor Moon fans to get.
Yeah. Yes.
So one thing that we end up mixing all these, all the music on DATs, but my DAT machine died long ago, and so I'm unable to play them. But just recently, because John just bought a DAT machine. Unfortunately, he bought it and it didn't work either, so it's in the shop. So he's going to do this. He's going to start transferring some of his stuff. Then he's going to give it to me. And then I'm going to go through and see if I can find like the audition tapes of the vocalists. I have it. And then maybe that thing. And if I can find that stuff, I'll let you know.
That'd be cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I think, unfortunately, Rizuki has to leave.
I do.
Okay. Rizuki, thank you for joining.
Thank you. And I wanted to say thank you to both of you. Like I said, I'm at a convention right now, but I really wanted to hide in a corner just to listen to the both of you and just hear your stories and hear where you came from. Because like you said, and I know co-hosts and commenters can relate entirely, probably repeat verbatim, these songs were and still are the soundtrack of our 30 years in Sailor Moon. And the fact that it's been 30 years and we can still talk about it and still have such passion and feeling about it, there was no way I was going to miss an opportunity to listen to the both of you. So thank you for letting me hop on and listen to you both.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. And luckily we're still alive, I mean.
That's true.
Well, enjoy the rest of the podcast, everyone. Have a lovely time.
Right. Thanks, Rizuki.
Enjoy
Take
your
care.
fun.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, one of the things that just popped into my head, and Miko, I was going to mention this. We talked about this earlier. I don't think you guys. Well, there's no way you would even know this, but after the release of the first CD, there was talk about us going on tour.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Little me would have lost her
Yeah.
mind.
they were talking about, okay, it's really gained some momentum through Kid Rhino, and there's a lot of interest. Would you guys consider putting a band together and doing a tour, like a live show? And we were like, hell yeah, of course. We were like, we would love to do that because, like, I would have played keyboards, Michael would have played guitar. We know a bunch of musicians. We could pull together a band. We could get the gals to come sing on the show because, like, Jennifer would have definitely been in. And, in fact, Jennifer even now she's still performing, these songs at conventions and stuff. We're really, really excited to do that. But unfortunately, the funding didn't come through, or, something fell through the cracks. But there was a time when we were actually considering putting a band together and going on the road with songs, which would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad.
We were robbed.
I think some of the problem is that when the album got released, it was right in the middle of the Napster pirating thing. So I remember at one point, Karen told me, she goes, the music is so popular. We've actually found 300,000 websites with the music on it. So, but unfortunately, it meant that nobody was buying the album. And so we were selling albums because you could buy the music. So if this thing had come out a couple of years earlier, we probably would have had a gold record or something.
Yeah.
And to this day, I have no idea how many records it sold. It just never,
Yeah.
I think they sent me a statement and it was like very typical record company stuff. It's like, a million deductions and like, we've sold like 5 records.
Right.
Somebody made some money, but it wasn't us.
Well, I was one of the 5 who had the record.
Same. I made my mother play that like you would not believe. Like that was my favorite thing on earth.
My mom's 94 and she still plays it.
Oh,
yes. I love that.
So we might as well we'll give you guys a little bit of dirt here.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
30 years. So this was kind of the unspoken thing about doing music for animation.
What's so funny, because Michael, I was just looking at the CD. I'm like, we should talk about that thing.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what you're going to talk
You're
about.
going to notice, and I'm sure you have, that every song has a co-writer in there, Andy Hayward. Okay, Andy Hayward was the head of Deke, and he had nothing to do with anything. I never met him.
Never met him. Never talked to him.
I may be wrong on this, but I think his daughters were the ones that actually sang Sailor Moon theme, or they're listed as the writers too. But what they did, let's put it like this: the music business has always been full of sharks, and we all know the stories of people that just got absolutely ripped off.
Sure.
Deke at least would tell you up front you're going to be screwed. Their deal was
they're honest about it.
Yeah. So when you write a piece of music, there are 2 halves. There's the writer's half, and then there's the publishing. So when you as soon as I write a piece of music, I own 100% of each one. So they can, depending on the system, you actually have 100% and 100%. So there's a 200% pie. So most jobs, they'll want you to do it as a work for hire kind of thing. So they own the music. And so that means that they own the publishing side. So you have, somebody wrote here, sounds like Haim Saban. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Saban was worse. I'll talk about that in a second because I had friends that worked for Saban. But so they would take the publishing. That's standard across things. And that's nothing that we, it's just what it is. You give up the publishing, but you're getting the music in the show and you're getting all of your writers. But Deke, you've probably never heard this anywhere. But Deke just told you up front, say, look, we're taking 2/3 of the writers. So you only get 1/3. Andy Hayward would be your writer. You're writing. So he got the 2/3, even though he had nothing to do with any of it.
Yeah.
So now Saban took 100% of everything. So you got nothing. You got no royalties. And so composers, most of their money came from performance royalties. And when I mean performance, that's when it airs on television. Now, you don't get, for just kind of a quirky part of the law, for music that airs in movie theaters, there's no royalties. So it's just kind of a weird thing. But on television, on radio, in concerts, theaters, things like that, they do pay performance royalties. So that's really, for a composer, the bulk of our income will come from performances, which can be substantial if you have especially if it's on like a network, like ABC or NBC, it's really pretty good. Yeah, Saban took everything, so you got nothing. They just paid you up front, and that's all you ever would see. So Deke took 2/3. Now, we knew this going in, and you could still do very well, but at least they told you. So I got to give them a little bit of credit. So in the end, when it came down to all these songs, on the record, and I said, look, I know this is our deal. I'm okay with it. We signed up for it. But they had originally put Andy Hayward as the first writer. And I said, no, he can go on there, but he's got to be last. And I think that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's why you see Andy
I think
Hayward
that's the way
or
it
his
is.
daughters listed as writers on these songs, because that's what they did.
Yeah, it's sad. So the songs that Michael and I worked on, we each get 1/6 of the writer's share, even though we wrote everything.
Yeah.
We wrote the music, we wrote the lyrics, we produced it all. We only get 1/6 each because we got 1/3.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so that's a battle that a lot of songwriters and composers have to face that. And it's probably not as bad these days because I think people are more informed about this kind of stuff. But back in the day, it was just kind of standard practice. You hear about these crazy stories of artists who made no money from major hits, and this is the reason why, because it's so unscrupulous. I mean, the things that these record companies and media companies did to screw the artists, it's really sad.
Well, I'll give you two. Here's some more dirt. The first one isn't the dirt, but it's a similar story. I'm sure you might have read about John Fogerty from Creedence. He finally got his music back. The rights, because he signed an especially terrible deal where he didn't make anything. In fact, he had to keep putting out albums, and he finally said, I'm not going to put out anything. So he couldn't release any new music because he just says, what's the point? I don't make anything on it. Mm-hmm. Then at one point, he got to the point where he did release an album, and then he got sued by his old record company because his music sounded too similar to his old music.
Which is crazy because it's him.
What? Okay, but
lawsuit. Right. And then which he won. And so just but he signed just a horrible deal. Anyways, but he got vindication in the end because he finally got his music back after, I think, 50 years or, that's when and he sold his catalog for like $400 million. So he's okay today. Oh. But going back to Deke. So Deke did all of their mixing, the vocal I don't know if it was a vocal recording or they mixed the shows or both. There was a studio that was also in Valley Village, that's where I lived. I can't remember the name of it, but it was owned by this guy, Artie Ripp. So Artie Ripp I forget what happened exactly, but somehow all of a sudden he started working for Deke. And then you just knew, like, oh God. Artie Ripp he signed Billy Joel back in the day to such a terrible contract that to this day, Artie Ripp is making all the money from like Piano Man and all these songs. And it was just like Billy Joel got nothing out of it. It was just so common in those back in the early 70s and 60s. But I thought it was fitting that eventually Artie Ripp started working for Deke. So I thought, oh yeah, great. This is another shyster in the world. Deke, it served its purpose. I know a lot of people, they started working there because they got credits, and then eventually you kind of move on. I mean, some people didn't because you end up getting a show that was popular, and even with your 1/6, you could make really good money. But a lot of people just use it as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And I did a couple more things for Deke, and then I finally kind of had my fill. My final job for them, I fired myself. I did that. At one point, they had all these direct-to-video productions. I think they had 23 things all at once. They had this huge order, and so everyone I knew got a show, and I got Treasure Island. But in this case, instead of us getting a video, they were still working on the animation in Korea or wherever it was. So in the old days of animation, they would give you got like basically it was a giant storybook. I mean, my book was like this thick. It was just all the animation pictures, and it had what they call feet and frames. So the timings were all worked out by the animators. And so they were still animating it, but they had this book that they could animate to. And so we had these like calculators. We had to figure out, okay, if there's 8 feet and 6 frames, how many music seconds?
How many seconds is that? Yeah.
Yeah. So we had to figure it out. Okay. So most people, their shows were fine, but mine was, I don't know what, I got so frustrated because at one point there was a scene where, the pirate was sitting in a chair and he was snoring. And so I'm doing the music and okay. And then I'm looking at the timings going, if I'm reading the timings correctly, he's sitting in his chair for like 23 seconds. There's no way they're going to animate a guy snoring in a chair for 23 seconds. That's just not going to happen. So I had to keep calling up Deke like twice a day and saying, this doesn't make any sense. This timing here, like what? I got so frustrated with this show that I got to the end. I was getting near the end, and I just said, I'm done. And I called up Karen. I said, I'm firing myself. I'm not happy. And they made me sign all this paperwork. And then, in fact, I said, you still owe me some money. Keep it. I don't even want it.
Oh, wow.
How done I was with this. And I felt bad because one of our friends, he finished the show, even though it was probably like 4 minutes left. But I was just like, I can't deal with this thing anymore. It's one thing when you're not dealing with all this, but the timings were just. Anyways, I forget what they owed me, maybe $5,000, but they paid him like $1,500. They even kept it, the rest of the money. And then I think in the end, in the credits, they put him first, just
they were just
he only did about a few minutes of music, but I was like, yeah, that's it, and that was my last Deke experience. But it was beyond frustrating, and I remember taking all the paperwork. It was this giant foot-long stack of stuff, and I usually kept everything. And I remember opening my trash can and just chucking it in there. I'm done with this. I never want to see Treasure Island ever again. So that was unusual, but that was the old days. That's how they did it before they had video. They timed it out with feet and frames.
So whenever you hear a young person complain about math and say, I don't think I'll ever use this in real life.
Just so
you use math in real life.
So this may be a little bit of a fan deep cut. So if you don't know the answer, we can just move on. The song Daddy's Girl is often perceived by the Sailor Moon fandom as being like Sailor Jupiter's like character theme song. Is that what you had in mind? Like, is that accurate? Did you have her character in mind? Because it's her prior vocalist who performs it, right? Yeah. Did you have that in mind? Did you have another character in mind? Was a character even in mind at all when you were composing that song? Or was it just like she was the right voice for this?
That I don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. That was a long time ago.
I remember hating that song though. It was just.
Oh, okay, tell us.
So I ended up co-writing that one with what's his name, the sax player,
Billy Martin.
Billy Martin.
Yeah.
So Billy Martin actually played sax on "It's a New Day," and so he's a really great songwriter, great writer, and all that. I think I don't remember, but I remember that song didn't want to come together.
Yeah.
And I just, by the end, I hated it. And I just thought, this is the worst song I've ever written. And I was kind of embarrassed that it went on the album.
That's a song people love.
Yeah, I actually listened to it a couple months ago. Somehow it came to mind. And I was actually surprised. I thought, it's actually not bad. I mean, it's a little sappy. But by the end, I was like, that wasn't so bad. I don't know why. I just hated it. I just thought that song should never have been on the album. But that's what happens. That's the creative process. Sometimes you nail things, and
both artists of a kind, and we certainly know the feeling of like, in the throes of it, you're like, this is shit. I hate it. It's terrible. I hate it. It's terrible. It's the worst thing I've ever done. I'm gonna turn it in, and I'm never gonna look at it again. And then people are like, "That's my favorite," and you're like, "Really?
Okay." And then you go back 2 months later, and you're like, "You know what?
Actually, that wasn't so bad." Yeah.
I have a story just came to mind. I'm glad we have a lot of time because
we do.
We're going for another hour and a half. Is that maybe?
Somewhere? Yeah, but you don't need to talk for the whole time because I know you don't have any friends, but come on.
Friends. I haven't talked to anyone in ages. This was funny. Is what you said about sometimes you feel like you nailed it. So I heard this story from a bunch of composers. We were at some convention, and this guy said this. So he goes, I got these 2 gigs for doing infomercials, which on the hierarchy, they're pretty low down in terms of like, being a good gig, but they can really pay really well. He goes, so I got these 2, and one of them, I thought the product was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And so he goes, I spent about 2 hours and I scored the whole thing. And I thought it was just terrible. Like it was the worst product. And I goes, I couldn't care about the music. I just wrote it in there. I wrote it as fast as possible. And then he goes, and I was so embarrassed by this thing. He goes, I didn't want my name on it. So I put the music in my wife's name. And then he goes, the second infomercial, he goes, it was a cool product. And they said you can even do what you want. And he goes, I was like a jazzer. So I did all this really cool jazz and I got players in and I loved the score at the end and I proudly put my name on that. And then, promptly forgot all about it. So in terms of royalties, it's about a 9-month lag. Mm-hmm. So about 9 months later, his wife goes, wow, I just got a royalty statement. And he was like, oh, and she goes, yeah, it was like $40,000. He goes, what's that for? He goes, yeah, it was actually the Pocket Fisherman. John, you remember that?
Yeah, the Pocket Fisherman.
Yeah,
that was tiny rod and reel. Yeah, to go fishing.
Again, and so he was like, what? And so he gets his, and his is for like $2,500. So the one that he thought was fantastic. So he's just like, oh crap. So, you get paid quarterly. So the next quarter, she goes, I just got $55,000 because that thing turned out to be a massive hit. And he goes, it was the worst music you could possibly imagine. And he goes, the one I loved, it was gone. The product was such a dud that it just it stopped airing. And so he goes, wife's going, this is great. He's collecting money. And he's like, never again will I ever do that.
I mean, that's really good. Like, if you love your spouse, why are you putting your worst work under their name? You're like, this would be embarrassing for me, but it's fine for my spouse. That's his punishment.
Yeah, karma,
for
karma
sure.
for that,
yeah,
for sure.
Karma.
I have a friend that he wrote. We actually wrote I did a lot of music for Oprah. I was one of the big music suppliers for Oprah for a number of years. We did thousands of tracks.
Oh, cool.
And they chose this one track. Yeah, you had some tracks in there, yeah. And they chose this one track for some radio show she had. And if you heard the music, you'd be like, it has really no redeeming qualities. It just was like, it's just filler. It was a nothing track. It had, you'd listen to it and you immediately forgot it. It didn't have anything. And that thing, it made him like $200,000 because it just kept airing and airing and airing. And he goes, it was like probably the worst track I've ever written.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there are any budding composers out there, you guys need to join a performance royalty organization, a PRO, which is either ASCAP or BMI here in the United States. What you do is you file your composition with those organizations and they track performance royalties. And so if your music airs on a show, that show or that broadcaster has to pay into ASCAP and BMI. And then months down the road, Michael was saying 9 months down the road, you'll start getting performance checks. So we get performance royalties once a quarter, something like that. Yeah, every quarter we get a check for stuff that's been out there, and we'll make a little bit of money here and there, but as you heard, you can make a ton of money if you get something that airs all the time. So that's the way to actually make money in music and performance royalties.
Cool. That's so cool.
That's so cool. Welcome back, everybody, for the second half of the Untold story of Sailor Moon's English music with esteemed guest John Miyagi Author and Michael Benghiat.
Got it.
Right.
Yay! Okay. I get horrible anxiety about names. And oh my god, you put up a Sailor Moon poster.
Oh my god, a will scroll.
Yeah.
I've had that banner forever. And in fact, I found a few things that I got over the years from
that's so cool. Wow.
A machine or something.
That's really cool.
Oh my gosh.
I have a still sealed wrapper.
Oh my god.
I remember those.
When CDs look like that. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow.
Cards.
Oh yeah, playing cards. Yeah.
This one's kind of cool. It's a nightlight.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and a little pencil and eraser.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
And then the Deke Sailor Moon, so you can see it. Sailor Moon Deke,
delightful. Stationery
notepad.
Oh, that's so
amazing.
God.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, that was
Things
delightful.
the notepad scene.
Also, by the way, we've been enjoying the comings and goings of your dog on the couch in the background.
Yeah.
That's been a delight.
You might get a cat that comes through too.
Oh, okay.
We
All
love,
right, we'll
we
keep
love
our
to
eyes
see.
peeled.
We love to see furry friends.
We do.
We do. We deeply do.
All right, so I think we're gonna get to our community's questions for you.
Yeah, one of the first things that our community really wanted to know, the question was, what song of yours are you surprised that people still remember?
I'm actually surprised anyone remembers any of the songs. It's such a shock after, well, I mean, after 30 years, of a TV show that we did such a long time ago, that it continues to live on through people sharing it and really loving the song. So yeah, I'm just really grateful that people remember any of the songs. So yeah, it's absolutely wonderful that the songs just continue to live on. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
You just don't know at the time what you're going to
Yeah.
do that's going to just be a hit and what's going
Yeah.
to be the thing that you accidentally credited under your wife's name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because at the top,
Not that
at the
either
time
of
we
you
were,
would do that.
yeah, at the time when we were working on these, we were in such a rush to just get it done and do a good job and get it out that we weren't giving any thought about the future, the success of the show, or what would happen in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and here we are 30 years later, and we're talking about it, so it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I had music in Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, and I thought that was definitely going to be my retirement, but I was wrong. I don't know why that show is such a disaster.
But I definitely think that you two don't know how much your music has deeply impacted such a generation, I'd say. Like, as Sailor Moon fans, like, when you play that music, immediately it's like, it is hype time.
The shocking thing to me is that 30 years ago, I'm 61 now, so 30 years ago I was 30, 31 working on these things, and and that was kind of like when we were in our late 20s, Michael and I, we were still struggling to make it as composers, and making money to actually make a living as songwriters and as composers. It's really amazing that we were able to do that at that time. It's a lot harder these days to actually make money doing music and writing and stuff like that, because it's just nowadays it's so inundated with gigantic music libraries, and people don't pay money for the kind of stuff that we used to do back then. And so we were very fortunate in many ways that we were able to work on these things at that age. So yeah, very.
Now they'll just do them in Suno, the songs, and call it.
Yeah, just
not
like
pay anyone anything.
Yeah, it's crazy what's going on these days.
Yeah.
You can't make a living as a musician. You can make a living as an influencer, if you have enough enough followers and enough clout and get some sponsorships. But as a musician, as a songwriter, very tough. So
Yeah.
Yep.
So, of all the Sailor Moon songs that y'all wrote, you may not remember this, but which came the most naturally and which one was the hardest to come up with? Which one gave you trouble? We would love to hear about that.
I think I said that My Only Love was just quick.
Yeah.
That's my recollection.
Yeah.
It just kind of came out and was done in a couple hours.
Amazing.
Yeah. That definitely is a song that in my mind, it's like, it just came out. It's like, it was so natural for me to just like play the progressions and come up with the lyrics, because the story was already there. The story was already present in the video. So, there was already, an impetus of, what we were trying to convey and what we were trying to say in the song. It was because it was that scene where, Tuxedo Mask is, I don't know, is he actually killed? Was he killed?
Sort of.
Slightly
Slightly
Yeah.
alive.
So, but it was a very dramatic scene, and I think it was the first time that Serena actually conveys her true feelings, right?
Right.
And so, My Only Love was just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it just came so naturally, and because not only were we writing a song, but we were actually had a visual guide and a story guide to what was happening in the show. So I think that's why it came together so fast. And
Do you
same thing
remember-
with Carry On. Carry On was the same thing. Carry On came together fast because that was the showstopper. It was like the final battle. And it was like all the Sailor Scouts putting all their power together to defeat the evil queen, So the lyrics just came like gangbusters.
Do you
Yeah,
remember
lyrics
if
are
we came up with the
perfect.
titles first, or the title just came out of doing the lyrics?
I think it was kind of like I think the titles came. That's what it sticks in my brain. Like,
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a while back. We were, our brain cells from back then are gone.
No, that's all good.
Cool ones. I think which one. I'm looking at the album now.
Yeah, we know. So
Power
you
of
said
Love,
that
that was pretty quick too. That one came out pretty quickly. Daddy's Girl was a big struggle. Nothing at all I didn't do. Who You Think You Are With, that was also fun. That one I had a really interesting drum loop thing that I cut and pasted. So those drums were like a real drummer, even though I didn't hire the real drummer. That one I chopped up, and it's got kind of that super fast vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one, when I found that drum loop, it just kind of, to me, just said, it's going to be kind of a heavier guitar thing, and it just kind of came out, and that was that.
I love it. John's thoughts?
Oh, for the hardest one? I mean, since I didn't work on all the songs, I would say that my hardest one was probably maybe Starry Night for me. That's what I remember. It's like, for some reason, that's the one that sticks out to me. It's like, yeah, that seemed like a harder one for some reason. But I just remember the easy ones because I think that's what I want to remember.
You remember the good.
Yeah, remember the good. Forget the bad.
I think Rainy Day Man was a quick one. That one I did with Lois Blaish.
Yeah, Lois. Yeah.
That was quick. She was very fast on lyrics too. She just would, it's like that Street Sharks one. I think I was working on music and she just did the lyrics in like 10 minutes. It was like, okay.
Wow.
And she came up with the title and I went, that's a good title, Rainy Day Man. And then she just took it from there.
Are you guys aware that we actually did we did a show with, what's that organization, Michael? We did
Sera Symphony?
Sera Symphony. So we did a Q&A. So we did a Q&A and Lois was there as well as Jennifer and Sandy, and Michael and I were there. And it was great because, we got to do an open forum where people just had questions. And that was really fun. And it was the first time that all of us had gotten together in literally decades. Yeah. So that was really cool that Lois was there and Sandy was there. And I think Jennifer sang as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And there's a version of My Only Love on string quartet. Yeah. That's on my site.
Wow.
And that same video page, there's at the top.
The one you shared up from your website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that Michael and I were talking about, when we first started talking about, writing some songs or, doing something new was, we were thinking about maybe doing some remixes or revisiting some of these songs. But the challenge that we will run into is the publishing thing. We kind of touched on it a little bit where, we don't own this stuff. We were hired as what they call work for hire. Yeah. So we don't own the publishing. We only own 1/6 or 1/3 the writer's share. So it's a bit of a struggle, but there may be ways around it. But also at the same time, we're not exactly sure who owns this stuff anymore. It's kind of like moved around so much. And these songs aren't released. They are not out on any platforms. No. They're not on Apple Music. They're not out on any platform because I don't know, they were just never released out that way. So people can't find the songs, by themselves out on like Apple Music or any format. So it's tough.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but you'd think they would want to monetize it. They own the songs, but
the fans want it.
Yeah.
If they're listening, actually, I know they're listening because they follow us. Please, we want it.
Actually, I've got a question for you guys since you're up on all the Sailor Moon stuff.
Yeah.
I know that was there a movie that came out recently or they dubbed the English one, but they took the songs out? I don't know what's happened exactly there. And because we never got called ever to do any songs for any of these newer versions. So what's happening with all the dubs?
Clearly, they didn't get my letters.
Yeah, so I think this may be in reference to, so basically, starting with, I want to say like the 25th anniversary, but maybe sooner, they started to do a whole new, completely reanimated version of Sailor Moon, starting from the beginning, telling it the way that it was in the original manga. And when that was brought over to the United States, that was dubbed. The initial shows weren't as successful as they hoped. So the last 2 seasons, they made them into 2-part movies. And those Netflix picked up, and they did a dub track of that. So they did dub in voices, and I think they used some of the voices that had done the Viz redub of the original 90s anime, and then they hired on a bunch of new performers. But for the vocal tracks that were created for those movies, I believe they just used the Japanese vocal tracks untouched and didn't do a localized version of them.
Yeah, my understanding was that Deke didn't have the rights to the original Japanese scores, which is why it was all recomposed, which is why you guys got the job. Because they didn't, my understanding is that they did not have the rights to the original soundtrack. Whereas when they redubbed it for the anniversary, when Viz redubbed it for the anniversary, because I think Deke is no more.
Yeah.
Gone. When Viz redubbed it, they did have the rights, so they just didn't do new music.
Yeah.
I believe that is what happened.
What is your favorite song that made it to the show? Either one of y'all can start.
My favorite song is probably Carry On. Carry On's the banger that
great song.
I really love.
What a banger.
Yeah, it's a banger and powerful song, great lyrics, great. The guitar lick in there is just fantastic. Michael, you have a story about somebody who tried to cover that and you had to teach them the lick. Remember?
Yeah. I got I don't know. Somebody contacted me saying, "Hey, they say, is this correct?" And they played it, and I was like, "No, it's not even close." I don't know. Somehow I said, "Sure, let's." I think we did a little Zoom or something, and I showed them how to play it.
Oh, that's incredible of you. That's so incredible. I love that.
Just a few hours ago, before we started this, I just went on, looked at some Sailor Moon stuff, and there's a version of Carry On that some band did. I'd never heard this, and they really can't play, so it's really kind of out there, and the chords are long, but it's a good attempt. You can hear yourself going, okay, it's like, they're not quite there, but I thought that was interesting because there is one that's actually really like kind of really hard metal. That's actually pretty well produced. I've come across that one.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. And I've heard some instrumental versions of My Only Love. There's this one piano version that's been out there for a long time, and it was pretty good. I loved it. Was a solo piano one, and she did a really nice arrangement. And there were a couple singers that covered some of these songs, legally or illegally or otherwise. But they're just people just love the music, so they just want to create their own version, which is great. So that's all good. Yeah.
I also hope that someone was going to, like somebody they were watching the show with their kids, and then they ended up cutting the song, and we'd have a release by an artist, but never happened.
Oh,
I wish.
Yeah, we
Honestly,
deeply wish.
we
Yeah,
so wish.
We were off screen during the break. We were lamenting the tour.
Yes, we were still sad that never happened.
Actually, I also came across. I thought this was interesting. I guess the new Avatar movie has a song by Miley Cyrus. And somebody said that the chorus is identical to My Only Love.
What?
Really?
I played the two, and the very beginning of the chorus is the exact same thing. And now it goes a little off after that. So
Miley,
I was like, I was thinking, I hope it continues to completely rip off the song. And then we have something to fall back on here. But I listened going, wow, that is pretty close. So I'm sure it's just, coincidence. Not that they found that song and said, let's rip it off.
You never know who's a Moonie.
You
don't know. We've spotted one in the most recent
NASA
launch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
Wow,
the launch
great.
of the space shuttle Artemis, there's shots of the NASA command center, and one of the people running it has a Sailor Moon lanyard on, and he's got the stuffed white cat from Sailor Moon Artemis
You gotta be kidding
sitting
me.
on the table.
Yes.
Yes.
Serious.
Yes.
That's a
That's
very real
enough.
thing that happened.
Just the
Wow.
other day.
Artemis.
Yeah, because I watched the launch. I've been following it. It's amazing that we're going back to the moon after
Yes.
50 odd years. I'm so happy that's happening right now.
Sailor Moon,
That's-
an internationally beloved and incredibly impactful series. Someone said, "Is Miley a Mooney?" I don't know for sure, but if she was, it wouldn't surprise me.
She would be the right age
She's
for
the right
it.
age for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
She's
yeah.
the right
age,
age
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised at all. While you're doing that, because I was thinking about the song "Carry On," one of my favorite lyrics from that song, because I think it's very evocative in a nice emotional way, is it starts off, "Here I am standing in the night," and then it's this line, my crescent wand, the only light. And it's like you've captured a piece of a moment that happens in the show, and you're sort of pulling out the way that would be emotional in that context. Like, she's at this moment where all of her friends have died, but not died. They definitely
Only
died.
mostly dead.
Only mostly dead. And
Only
so
mostly
she's
dead.
truly, for the first
Yeah.
time,
Luna.
completely alone. Yeah, look,
Yeah.
there you
There's-
go.
there's Artemis.
There's Artemis right at the launch.
Yeah.
And so just this idea that all she has left is the feeble light of this one small crescent wand, and that's all that's left with her, is
Yeah.
such a beautifully captured lyric. I love it so much.
Yeah, and that goes to show you that we were really looking at the video. We knew the story, and so we were pulling those lyrics together, kind of scoring the lyrics to the show. And that is not a coincidence. That's something that we okay, well, we need a moment, to recognize what's going on the screen. So yeah,
You nailed it.
that's a great catch that you pointed out, because not everyone would see that, not everyone would understand that. So thank you for that. That's great.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
All right, so
If
show me
anyone here is deeply paying attention, it's us.
It's us.
Yeah.
Hardcore. It's amazing.
So a question about interaction with fans. Do you have any memorable moments with fans remembering their Sailor Moon songs, or any interactions that you've had with the fans?
Besides this,
Besides
one that
this.
just happened.
This is that Sera Symphony thing that we did, because we ended up signing autographs for like an hour.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
that's
shocked.
amazing.
People were
Yeah,
lining up.
people came
I-
fully in costume and everything, and it was just
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
like-
yep. That sounds like
we don't
That's
see it
us.
all the time,
Mhm.
but that was just one of those things where it's like, wow, people were very.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I do have a story. I actually, as I think I told you guys, my career was as an advertising agency producer, and I produced hundreds of commercials. And I actually do a guest lecture over at UCLA at the UCLA Extension for the Film Studies program. And one of the things that I teach over there is about once a quarter, I go in and I talk about music for commercials, and I also have a talk about post-production, how they finish commercials. And, I'm up there and I'm giving my little spiel, and it's like a 3-hour class. And, my name is up there, John Miyagi Author, blah, blah. And at the end of the music segment, I always like to throw in, and, my claim to fame is I wrote some of the songs for Sailor Moon. And so I played them a clip of Carry On from, on YouTube. And I heard this girl in the class just squelch, like, oh! I'm like, and she's, "You're John Miyagi Author." And that's, my name's on the screen. It's like, "You're the guy that wrote the music." I'm like, "Yes, that's what I just," and she completely beside herself. It's like she couldn't believe it. She just didn't really put the two together, because you see my name up there, but it's not going to automatically say, "Oh yeah, that's the guy that wrote the Sailor Moon song."
Sure.
And then when I started playing it, she was literally just squealing. It was great. It was a great moment for me. And so we talked after class, and so that was really, really something. So that's the one moment I think of when getting recognized for my involvement with the show. So that was great.
That's so cool. Yeah,
That's
you
really
woke her
I
right
had one
up.
too.
Yeah.
I had a back surgery recently
Oh.
last year. Anyways, I had to go to all sorts of doctors to get all this done. Anyways, one of the meetings, there was a bunch of nurses and everything. And so, we go through, we're talking about what we do. And so the meeting's over. And then one of the nurses comes up to me and says, she goes, "Well, I think I had mentioned that I wrote music or something. And I don't know, somehow they looked me up while we were talking about stuff, and she goes, "Are you the guy that wrote Sailor Moon songs?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh my God." And then she had already printed out something and said, "Can you sign this? I'm in the doctor's office." I'm like, sure, why not? So it was kind of,
Oh, that's incredible.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, so we do get little moments of fame, once in a while. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you two are definitely like rock stars in the Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Amazing. So the community also wanted to know, were there any songs you had to fight for to get on the show? Or was it like pretty smooth sailing?
It was all smooth sailing. They just,
okay, good.
Yeah.
Cool.
we wrote them, they just took them. I don't
Alright.
think any of them got rejected. We never, if there was, I would have been like, hey, we've got another song that never made it. And so here you go.
Oh my God.
But
Yeah,
there are no outtakes or other versions. Other versions, but
Sure.
that was it.
Yeah, it's kind of
So
crazy.
you said Karen approved everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah. I think it kind of, it also goes to show that I think we were pretty dialed in, once we got the first couple songs done, we're kind of dialed in on the show. We understood the characters, we understood the direction, and we knew what worked. I think, I don't think we actually realized it at that time, but now that, I've had time to reflect on it, I'm like, yeah, we probably kind of figured out the formula because, there were really specific segments of the show and we knew what worked and we found the voice. And so I think we lined everything up in a way where, it would have been very difficult to fail because we had everything in motion. And, I want to pat myself on the back. I think Michael and I are great writers. We're very good at what we do.
Let us pat you
And-
on the back.
Yeah.
We
And
will.
so I think, and we were all also our biggest critics. We're always like looking at these lyrics and we're looking at the arrangements. And, we were eking out as much as we could before we had to deliver the stuff. We're very critical of our own work. And, we got good performances. We had great players that were involved. The singers were fantastic. I think we aligned ourselves to success because we weren't taking chances. We weren't like, we didn't have to try out a new singer for this. We knew who was going to do it. Oh, we knew the great players. So we could pull in this person for this, pull in that person for that. So I think we were aligned to succeed.
And getting the singers recorded, sometimes that can be really a real slog if they just can't get it. And I think all of them, Jennifer, I remember it was, usually what we end up doing is you'll run through a take. In fact, we always learn, early on when you're recording people, is you always just record from the beginning because sometimes that first take is the magic one because they don't really know what they're doing yet. They're not comfortable. And so they take a little bit of chances. Or they sometimes just maybe they make a mistake, but it's like a good mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you always make sure you get that first take recorded, and then you would go ahead and do a couple of, a few other ones.
Yeah, we call those happy accidents, in our industry. Happy accidents.
So
Wow.
but nowadays we have all the ability to do, you can do as many takes as you want, and then you do what they call a comp. And so you can go through, and some people literally they go through syllable by syllable, and they find the best syllable, and you paste them all together into the final. But back then we didn't have that technology. You had to pretty much get it, or you just. And I think what we ended probably was doing. I think I probably did the whole thing. We listen back and go, okay, that's good, and then I'll just do another. We'll punch in here, and then we'll maybe do another one just as a safety, just in case. After you're all done, when they've left, and you kind of go, oh, that note was flat. Because we didn't, nowadays there's all the tools to fix everything. You can move notes,
Auto-tune something.
auto-tune them.
Exactly.
Yeah, those tools didn't exist. So you had to get it. You had to get the performance, or if you didn't, you're stuck with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
But that was nice because the singers were all really good, and we didn't have to fight them. I mean, we've all had times when you get somebody in and you're just like, this is not working at all.
Is there a character you didn't write a song for that you wish you could have? What would the vibes be if you could go back and do so?
For me, it would have been Tuxedo Mask.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Really?
I'm like, I
Yeah,
so
'cause-
like.
Because he didn't have his own thing, but it was never, it wasn't really. He was such. I mean, he was really kind of a side character, right? I mean, he wasn't really featured. Yes, he was a love interest, but he wasn't like the focus.
Mhm.
I think if we had an opportunity where he was more featured, it would have been cool to like do a cool Tuxedo Mask song, you know, just for a different kind of like tone and voice and vibe. Because like, you know, when I saw the character, I'm like, oh, the guy's kind of cool. We could do kind of like a cool jazzy thing or something.
Ooh,
really
Ooh,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
like
gonna ask a follow-up
yeah.
question there. In the Japanese, he has sort of like a Spanish guitar motif.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I would have gone totally like cool jazz, you know.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that
can
would be
see it.
so cool.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
so that would have been really fun to do. So yeah,
I would have
That's a-
done
that's a
the
great question.
Luna.
Luna.
We need a-
Oh,
we need a-
yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm a cat lover, so we would have had to have
Yeah.
a cat song.
Yeah, a cat song, a meow meow song.
Yeah.
Or nya nya. In Japanese, it would be nya
Yeah.
nya.
Yeah.
Nya 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 nya.
A
That's
fun
Or we could
fact-
just take one of the songs already existing and just have a cat version. Nya 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 nya. You know.
That'd be cute.
You can
There
hire
you
my
go.
cat to
That's-
be a vocalist on it.
Oh, but a fun fact for you, Luna actually gets a sailor form in her own theme song in the live action Sailor Moon.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a live action Sailor Moon if you didn't know that existed.
No, I mean,
It's done in this from Japan. It's done very tokusatsu style. So Power Rangers and Kamen Rider and all that. It's kind of, I find those types of shows kind
it
of
can't be. Yeah.
Yeah, they're campy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
it's very much like that.
isn't there a theater production that's been toured?
Oh,
in-
there's
Oh,
so
so
many.
many.
There's
So
many.
many.
There are, I think, maybe literally dozens of Sailor Moon musicals.
This is how many Sailor Moon musicals are. There are 3 different Sailor Moon musicals that have Dracula in them.
Yes.
That's how
that's
broad the coverage
That's
of the Sailor
canon.
Moon musicals is.
yeah.
So
But you are
what's
correct.
The
There
music?
is,
Are they using the Japanese music or?
Yeah, these are Japanese only. None of the musicals were ever brought to the United States.
yeah, what a bummer
Well,
though.
Yeah.
They were bred for the like special showings that we just got.
Yeah, we got the recent musical that just came out. They did do a limited North American tour, but that was still in the Japanese language, just with subtitles projected on screen.
Yeah. An English translation of any of them would be delightful.
Delightful.
Absolutely
Yes.
delightful.
We're like, please call you both up.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, they should do that. Who do we have to call? How do we make this happen? Ship it. Get the GoFundMe started.
Yes. I'll be the first
Hey,
backer.
Yep.
Take my money.
Yeah. If you have enough money, you can do anything. You know.
Yep.
Our community would also love it if you would like talk about your songwriting process. Describe it to us. How does that work for you? And it doesn't have to be about Sailor Moon. Just like, please talk to us about how you write your music.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, Michael and I actually, you know, we're songwriters, but we're also composers and underscore. We do underscore music. We actually had a course. We wrote a training course, and we had students that we would critique their writing and stuff. And, you know, we kind of like go through the entire process of like, you know, what a spotting session is and how to do this, how to do that. But, you know, your question is specifically about songwriting. There was a time when he and I were just writing songs to try to get placements. So I think there were a couple of organizations, Michael, like, what was it? Taxi? There was Taxi.
One.
Yeah. So there were these organizations that were, you know, had an avenue into where you could write songs and you could submit your songs for placement in either movies or try to place it with an artist. And so our process was kind of like, you know, if it wasn't for the show, you know, we'd come up with ideas like a scenario, or I'd come up with like a hook, like, how about if we do a song that's called this, and then kind of like, you know, create a song around an idea. You know, everything comes from like a germ, like, you know, it's just a little tiny thing. And then you just kind of expand on that. Like, you know, a lot of times when I was songwriting, when I was a more active songwriter, I would just have lists of like song titles. So I would just like write a bunch of song titles, and I would just try to take a song title and just kind of expand on that. And so that would be my process for, you know, sometimes the lyrics would just come first, and then I would write the music to match the lyrics. Other times, maybe I would just be sitting at the piano and I'd be doodling something, and I like a particular melody, or I'd like a particular chord progression. I would try to write something along that. So I think songwriting can come in many, many different ways. And when you're writing with a partner, it's great because you have a sounding board. It's like, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about that idea? Because sometimes when you're in your own head, you're just like, you don't know. You're like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? It's nice to have another voice to give you some feedback. So that's been kind of, my process. Yeah.
Yeah, songwriting is interesting. Sometimes it's like John said, it's you start with sometimes lyrics or just the title, and sometimes you start with the music. I mean, sometimes I'll get a guitar out, and so that you end up writing a different kind of a song that you start with guitar, or sometimes you start with piano. Sometimes it's just a sound. You might, instead of piano, you go for Rhodes, or you go for the organ. And you just come up with different things.
Yeah,
it's kind of a mysterious process. You never know where it comes from, and sometimes it just, we all have like tons of things we started, and you kind of go, I like this idea, and you work it out, and then sometimes you come back to it, and sometimes you never do. I have a whole bunch of files of things that, in fact, there's one thing I really like. I did it probably 20 years ago, and I found the file, and it has a vocalist on it, but singing just like do 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 do, and I don't know what to do with it, but. And I just, every time I listen to it, I still can't come up with anything. So it's just hasn't developed in anything, but it's there. The germ of a song is there, but nothing's come through. And then sometimes like quick, you're done in a bit.
I have tons of those where it's like just a little small idea and it's just been shelved. It's just been sitting there. Or there's just like one, like I wrote a chorus to a song just sitting there. And so those are things I always want to come back and just kind of work out. And on like maybe 2 or 3 different occasions throughout my entire composing life, I've actually woken up with a song in my head. Like completely done.
Yeah.
Like
amazing.
I heard it, like I did it in my dream. I wake up, I'm like, turn on my, my iPhone, start recording it, and I start singing into it, and it's like done. And so that does happen because
amazing.
Your brain is on, you're creating all the time.
Yeah.
And so it does happen once in a while. It does come out that way. And that's a really amazing experience to have that happen to you.
Well, it's like a muscle too. You try to get into flow, and that's the whole thing. If you think about, I remember reading about Elton John when he was doing the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album. I mean, literally, he was going up, Bernie Taupin would give him the lyrics. They were never in the same room, ever, writing a song. Bernie would just give him the lyrics, and then he would sit there and sometimes just put them on. He'd read them, he'd just start playing, and that would be it. But they said they were in such a flow for those albums that he did. He had like 2 or 3 double albums, and like they were doing 2 albums a year sometimes.
Yeah.
And they said that it was crazy that he would literally sit at the table, they'd have dinner, he'd give him the lyrics, he'd sit there and he'd write like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in like 5 minutes. He was like done. And then they got another one. Here's another lyric. He just write it in like 10 minutes. He was just like, they were in a flow, creativity. And that's very rare. Sometimes it happens, but you have to be in that mindset. But you have to do it a lot, I think. We're not writing all the time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get into that flow where things are going.
Yeah. Because like, when we were working composers, like a lot of times, there came to a point in the music composition world, if you were a composer, you were writing demos constantly to land a gig. Like for commercials especially, there would be these music houses that would be dialed into all the advertising agencies, and if you were on their roster to write music for that commercial, they would call you up in the morning and say, hey, we need a demo for this thing, we're going to send something over. They send over a QuickTime, and like by the end of the day, I would have like 3 demos done. I was so fast because that's what we were doing. We were writing all the time. Like Michael's saying, it's a muscle. And so the more you use that muscle, the quicker you get and the better that you get. So I was cranking out stuff like, I would write 15 tracks in 1 week. It was crazy the amount of stuff I was doing. So I've got hundreds, if not thousands of music demos that never went anywhere. They're not songs, they're demos, like, a little 30-second track. Like I remember this one thing I wrote for, it was for Taco Bell. And the riff was, the idea was they were doing this special menu where it was like 79 cents, 89 cents, or 99 cents for, a special meal thing, whatever. And so I came up with this rock lyric, and to this day, I still remember it. I'm like, I don't know why this didn't go, because it's so good. Heavy rock thing. And it came to me like within 5 minutes. And yeah, back in the day, we're just like cranking stuff out.
Yeah.
But if I had to do a track today, I'm like, oh my God, it'd take me hours to like come up with an idea.
Just to get your gear turned on and ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and now the technology is so good that the technology is a blessing and a curse, because the great thing about back in the day when we were just working with a really limited number of resources, we could only record onto a 4-track cassette deck or an 8-track or 16-track. We didn't have like a million different plugins that we could use. You had your limitations, and your limitations actually fostered creativity. But these days we have so many choices that you're just like going through all the choices of all your sounds, your drum loops, and this and that it takes you forever to commit to something.
That's the word, the commit.
Like you got to commit. So one of the things that I want to start doing now is like I'm starting to get back into using things that are more of what I'm calling the analog world, where it's like, okay, it's a synthesizer. I'm not going to use, a bunch of stuff to go through my digital audio workstation and go through a million different sounds to like settle in. I'm going to make a commitment to this one sound, and I'm going to try to create something from that rather than, recreating and remixing and changing different sounds and spending days on something where I should be just spending hours on something. So, but it's hard to do when you have so many choices.
Sure.
Well, that's what the Beatles did. They had, when they started, it was 4-track.
Yeah, 4-track. Yeah,
they laid down 3 things, and they said we're going to bounce it down to the 4th track, and that was it. That was the performance. You couldn't go back afterwards because you erased them and then you added more stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's some albums where there's literally 150 guitars. And there'll be like 40 keyboards. There'll be 100. There'll be some. Actually, I read about an album. There were 700 vocals tracks. Yeah. So you're getting 1,000 tracks, and then you're trying to mix this because they couldn't commit to anything, and then so they're just constantly adding more stuff, and then it becomes a nightmare in the end, where they should have just said, "Hey, you know what? This guitar is good. That's the one we're going with. Get rid of the rest of it."
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard to, because you think now it's hard to make that decision at the time. That's the performance. In a way, when you got live players, and that's it. You go and you record them, and then that's it. You pack up, they go home, and that's what you got. And so you have no choice but you commit to that performance, which I think makes a lot of the older music better.
Yes, I agree.
When it was it was real people in real rooms, that also makes a difference.
Yeah,
for sure.
So this is not on our list of questions, but because we have some time, I'm curious. I mean, as a lover of a power ballad, is there a particular musical genre that you guys like to work in? Do you guys have a favorite genre that you love to write songs for?
I mean, we kind of, we grew up in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I love all that music from that era. But these days, I don't know if it's going to be a surprise or not, but I'm kind of into the whole K-pop thing.
Yes. Hello. Do you want to be friends?
Yeah. And in fact, I told you guys earlier that I'd written some lyrics for a new song for Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
K-pop.
Oh,
a perfect fit.
Yeah, it's like Aespa and like Les Seraphim, that genre of this power girl kind of approach.
Absolutely.
You guys know Les Seraphim, right? It's like,
of course, I've been there since debut.
Yeah, I've loved them since their debut, and it's just like, I want to do a thing, because like if I listen to all the Sailor Moon stuff now, it's all like girly pop, kind of safe, right?
Yeah.
I want to do something for Sailor Moon that's just a little more in there and like heavy beat and like a really strong K-pop presence with a little more growl to it. there's this image that I have that I pulled from from DeviantArt. You know, DeviantArt.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah,
indeed
big
know
yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So one day, I mean, this is years ago. One day I was like looking for Sailor Moon images, and I found this one image, and this is the image that drives me. It's an artist rendering of somebody who created the Sailor Scouts after a battle. They're
Okay.
battle weary. They got rips in their clothes. They've got cuts on their legs. They've got bruises on their faces. I'm like, I want to write a song for those girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
It's like they stood up. They fought a good fight. They made it. You know, they made it to the plateau, and they did it because they pulled together. And you know, they've done this thing where it's like, yes, because of the power that we have together, we were able to, you know, defeat the evil queen or whatever it may be. Yeah. So right now, my leanings have been toward like the K-pop thing, and also kind of like not new, but kind of like more of the movement into the kind of like the analog electronica kind of stuff. So lately I've been investing into like, you know, these older machines that kind of create this kind of like 90s vibe, but has a gut wrench to it. It's like a lot of distortion, a lot of really interesting texture. So I want to get away from what we did for Sailor Moon the show, and I want to do a song that's for Sailor Moon, like the evolved like being, the evolved character.
Yeah, me too.
So that's where my head's at right now.
Yeah, we
I'm
love
so
that.
happy.
We
I
love
can't
that.
even
Yeah, I hope I'm not setting myself up for
No,
disappointment.
No, we could
No.
never.
So the
Well, we
song
had
that I have in my head is the
We had
K-pop.
talked about it, and we have some. We'll say when we do it instead of if we do it.
Yeah.
But when we do, we have some special surprises that we have in store.
Really?
We had some ideas for things we want to do.
Yeah.
But we
So
won't
yeah,
tell you.
yeah.
Okay.
we-
Okay.
Yeah,
I want to be
we-
surprised.
we-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, you know, we've actually talked about it, and, you know, we made a commitment to do some stuff. And, you know, due to a lot of things that are going on right now, we weren't able to get some stuff ready for this show. But we are definitely going to, you know, at least put a couple of songs out there that are Sailor Moon songs, but modern and, you know, from us, you know, the original songwriters of the show. We've got the history, you know, now we've got amazing technology that we didn't have back then, but we want to do something that's going to be for the fans. And it's a thank you for everyone out there who still is in love with music.
That's
I like when somebody wrote a song for the battle weary millennials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's us.
That's
That's
us.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as soon as you are ready to release any of those songs into the world, please let us know. We're dying to know that they're out there.
We are. Yeah.
So we will be the first in line to listen.
Well, you guys will be the first in line because we decided that we're going to share these songs with you guys first.
Oh, incredible.
Really?
Oh, we love you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. We already decided that, so you guys will hear it first. Nobody else will hear it. Yeah.
much.
Deeply honored that you have made that decision.
No, we're so excited about it, and we're excited that you guys asked us to be on the show, and I think it's just great what you guys are doing, and it's been such a pleasure.
We're,
Oh
we're,
my God.
we're the kids who listen to that music, and we're all grown up
Yeah.
now.
We were those little guys.
Yeah.
I dug my old Music Kitchen shirt out for this.
I
I saw
holiday.
it. I was like looking at it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my God. And the
This
crowd
is
is going wild.
A Sailor Moon
Yeah.
shirt. And
Oh,
my
nice.
t-shirt underneath has a cat on it.
So the last of our questions for our fans, is there a message that you would want fans of your music to hear?
I think Michael.
Sorry, that's a big question. Oh yeah. Yeah. If you
You
need
mean
us to
Sailor Moon
like
music or just anything that we do?
anything.
Just anything you want to say to the fans.
I don't know. I'm pleased that people are still enjoying it. I mean, that's something we just, we don't hear from fans. That's just the nature of what we talked about earlier. It's the nature of what we mostly do. So that nobody knows what people do because it's background music for a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, or even if it is more featured, it's not like you've got a big album credit or your name's going by in a video. It's still kind of anonymous. So this was, this was exciting about this show because we people kind of reached out and said, hey, we really enjoyed the songs, and they seem to make a difference in people's lives. And that's really what music is, will do.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
definitely
And
did.
from my perspective, it's like, we're the guys that's behind the camera. We're not the guys that are in front of the camera. Yes, we were performers back in the day when we played in the rock band, but it's not the same thing. It's like we're the songwriters and we're supporting the show. And so, it's nice that people are recognizing these songs, and the value that they're getting out of it is fantastic. Like I said before, one of my things on my bucket list was I always wanted to write a song that people would fall in love with, and it would be their song. And to know that people are using, My Only Love as their wedding song, or that's a song that they use at, for their anniversary or whatever. To me, I made it. That's the bucket list thing that I needed to do. And it came about in a really strange way. It's not like I wrote a song and people, fell in love with the song. People fell in love with the show, but the song was attached to that show. And then they discovered the music from that show. And now the songs themselves have all this power and all this notoriety and staying power, I should say, and all this notoriety. And it's amazing to me that people still, love these old songs from 30 years ago. So I'm very grateful for that.
I mean, know that your songs are very loved by fans of Sailor Moon. In general, the 90s dub is often contentious in the fandom because of the significant changes that were made in the localization to make it what Deke felt was appropriate for, the Western audience. And so there's a lot of contention. But one thing that is sort of universally celebrated about the 90s dub are the songs that you guys have written. So one of the shows that we do here is that we've actually been going through for the past few years, rewatching the original 90s localization of Sailor Moon.
Oh, cool.
And every month we look at 5 episodes and we talk about each of them. As we are watching these episodes together, every single time one of your songs is playing in the background, we are just falling all over ourselves, enjoying how incredible the songs are. They're always a highlight of any episode for us. Ugh.
So how can I haven't seen the show since it aired.
Yeah. So
how can I see it these days?
So that is a difficulty. And the difficulty is that there's not only no appetite for, or at least not perceived to be an appetite for, a re-release of those episodes in like a DVD format, but also because Deke no longer exists, there's this real question in the air of, is there anyone who exists who actually owns the rights to then reproduce them? And so finding old copies of the show is difficult. You are often going on eBay and looking for people who are selling their very old copies of the show, getting it from them, or obtaining it through unofficial means. Unofficial means. But yeah, it's truly becoming lost media because of this issue of the rights limbo and the belief by the people who even sort of tangentially are close to. So like Viz Media owns the current rights to Sailor Moon in the United States, basically, but they did their own entire redub. And so I don't think that they are interested in trying to get the 90s dub and re-release it. So there's this genuine problem that so many of us in the fandom have, which is that we treasure the 90s dub and we can't just go out and buy DVDs of it on the primary sale markets. You're going on a secondary sale market like eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Though if you were just asking where can I watch Sailor Moon, I think it's on like Hulu.
Yeah. Sailor Moon in general. The Viz dub is on
Viz
on Hulu, but it will not have any of your amazing music in it. It just has the Japanese soundtrack.
Interesting. I thought Cloverway bought Deke's assets.
For a little bit, and then Viz currently has the dubbing rights. I don't know.
We don't know what the sort of status is of that, but there's no one who is letting us have current production of the 90s dub.
I'm really more of a Sailor Moon deep lore expert than a Sailor Moon production rights expert.
That's a shame. That's a real shame that it just went into the black hole.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
It is truly.
If you two ever want a day like you want this to pick me up, please go to YouTube and search up your songs. There's gonna be like clips from the show or like background images. the fans are in the comments saying like 2026, I'm still here. This is
Right.
my K-pop demon hunters.
Right. Yeah.
Like the fandom is still alive and they are still like raving over your music.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. Love it. Yeah.
And I realized I accidentally ADHD'd away that we never got to go over the pictures. Do you mind if we do that real
we
quick?
do
and
that
then-
now.
Yes.
Next time.
Yeah, we've got time.
Okay. So let's
Some
go
blackmail
over some
pictures.
Yes. So besides the one I showed, there's also this one. Oh, let me get rid of that.
Amazing.
Look at the price of admission.
$2.
Good job,
$2.
man.
Not
And
these days.
the artist for this amazing poster is myself. I did
Really?
all the drawings. Yep.
Oh,
Incredible.
Oh,
Delightful.
amazing.
I love it.
I love
Yeah,
it.
John was a good artist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
I designed a
are.
lot of these posters. Yeah.
I love it. And then
Hilarious.
we got a
Cool.
little-
$2. Oh
I
my
love this
God.
picture.
I
Oh
haven't
my
seen,
god, amazing.
I haven't seen this picture.
The
That's
headbands,
ridiculous.
the hair,
the hair.
Serving.
incredible.
So this would have been like 1983-ish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both had a lot of hair back then.
And then I love this one a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, this one is
Yeah.
so delightful.
Yeah, this is an actual Music Kitchen promo picture. As you can see, we've got a saxophone and a balalaika hanging from the
Yeah.
top.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But you know what I'm wearing? An official Music Kitchen watch.
that's a Music
Oh my
Kitchen.
Really?
Yeah,
still
we have
have it.
Music Kitchen
Wow.
watches, mugs, T-shirts.
Oh, that's so
That's
cool.
cute. Yeah.
I love that.
I didn't realize your hair was that long back then.
Yeah, down past my shoulders. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
All right. And then did you two want to save the music for next time or did you want to go over the music tonight?
I sent her a couple tracks. I think it was Visions and
Yeah.
something else.
London Calling? Perfect.
I
Okay,
think
I'll
the
play
songs are a little
Vision
fast
Studio.
because they were probably transferred from cassette, and then so they do sound a little faster than they should have been.
Hopefully it's not loud. Okay, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, this fast.
Yeah.
Where was this song when they were producing that really cool MCU Vision and Wanda? This would have been
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm in love with this vocalist.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly Coleman. And that's Miko B on guitar.
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah.
This is my favorite part. This like little sort of half step increments.
It's like right in my range.
Yeah, Yeah, so that was our second band called Made in Japan. So our
Okay.
first band was Trondaflaunt, and this is a Made in Japan. It was still me, Michael, and Kelly, but we had another drummer, this Steve. He was an English guy, and he actually played stand-up Simmons drums. He never used a regular drum kit, and so we were performing in the clubs, and this is one of the songs that we performed. Yeah,
I love it.
Would have absolutely loved
That
that live.
little section. Visions in my soul.
Mhm.
Eerie spookiness to
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
but it's so perfect for the lyrics of the song.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just like, oh, when
Yeah.
I get to that part, I'm like, ooh, I feel it.
Yeah, yeah, it's I love that song. I mean, I can still play it on the piano. I think I wrote that I think I wrote it over the summer, like after my sophomore year, something like that.
Wow.
Wow. So pretty young.
Yeah.
She started singing, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's a song written for my voice, actually." I'm gonna go memorize that later. Let's see.
Monica's gonna be playing that.
Yeah,
one.
I might be. Genuinely, like, my partner might be hearing me singing that in the shower later tonight.
Yeah. I think I actually have an instrumental version, so I'll have to send that to you guys. So you
Okay.
have it.
Ooh, please. See, Monica, it is your
Yeah,
birthday.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so let me play the second one, which is called London Calling.
This song you wrote, John. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote this. Yeah.
This is very 80s.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally 80s.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that very positively.
Mhm.
You know who this one made a great character song for? Sailor
Yes.
Venus.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really Sailor Moonish, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Sailor Venus's backstory was that she was a superhero in London for a while before she
Yeah.
came back to Japan. So
Ah,
it's perfect for her.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, we could have thrown that one in there.
I haven't heard a song in a long time. It's
I
great.
know.
Love that. Oh, all right.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Okay, it's giving yes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's giving me Girls' Generation, not the boys. Girls' Generation. I got a boy. I got a boy.
Got a boy. Yeah.
Where it like totally changes up. Way before its time, I'm sure. Oh my god, this is awesome.
That was a weird little Josie.
I like it.
Oh, I love a little shout. It's a little bit like B-52's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Love
I like
Shack.
Yeah.
The shout is so nice.
Yeah,
many
it's so
things I
funny
just
because like
put my finger on
now
what it
that
reminded me of.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
yeah, now that I listen to it again after all these years, I'm like, I'm totally editing the song in my head. I'm like, oh, I would have taken out the third verse right after the bridge. I would have gone right to the chorus. I would have made it shorter. Just yeah, it's funny, but
Oh, but now
Well,
we're getting people
we
where
all
they're
are
like,
thinking that this is a Sailor Venus song now. So.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
Love it.
that song. I think I based it on another song. Because yeah, that's I can't remember it, but yeah, that bridge section where it goes to that. I was thinking like, okay, the whole idea is London Calling. It's a girl, but it's also a city, and I kind of want to make it kind of English. And so that bridge to me was kind of like a fanfare. Like you're in England and you're like, walking around, you see the Tower of London, and that's the fanfare that's going on. So it kind of turned into a march in that section.
Oh, nice.
That was my thinking. That was my vision of it.
I love
Well,
it.
We loved the bridge.
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
The bridge came in and we were like, okay.
Yeah, because people don't do stuff like that anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
let's go somewhere.
Mhm. Oh,
Right?
I mean, I listen to all kinds of crazy music, so
You do. You do listen to all kinds of crazy music.
Yeah. People are still making lots of good music, I promise you.
Yeah, so that singer Kelly Coleman, she's one of the most amazing, talented songwriters and performers that no one has ever heard of. She's fantastic.
Really?
Unfortunately, Michael and I always thought that she'd be the next big thing, but sometimes things just don't work out.
They just don't.
So much of it is such a crapshoot. You can have all the talent in the world, and if the stars just don't align.
I really loved her performance on both of those songs. And
Yeah.
if you see her, you can tell her that this one person, this one person really likes her.
Yeah.
Kelly, if you're listening, that fucking ruled.
All right, so why don't we come to a close?
This was really fun. I'm really glad you invited us. And
Glad you said yes.
in a way, we're just, we're reminiscing about stuff we did a long time ago. And it's just fun, In a way, it almost puts us as we have a record of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the stories and things, they get lost in time or nobody really wants to hear them,
Oh, people want to hear this. Everybody's been losing their mind. Yeah, literally. Thank you, Sword Lily, for jumping in there. Saying this has been an amazing show, and like the response has been great. I just wanted to say, like, I'm so glad that we were able to connect because, like, genuinely, it's been just so many years of looking up to your music and like getting to actually speak to the legends themselves is awesome.
Yeah, for me, it's been a great journey. Thanks for inviting us to your show. Like Michael was saying, it's great to, go back and kind of share all these great experiences that we had. We're very fortunate to have worked on the show and, to be able to do the music that we're able to do. And, hopefully in the near future, we'll be sharing some new materials with you guys. And we're really excited about that. And to everyone who still is a fan of the music and a fan of the shows, thank you so much for all your support. And I love being here, so we'll do this again, I'm sure.
We've had an incredible time having you. You've been amazing guests. You're both like really, really entertaining to listen to about your experiences. Thank you.
Sure. And what we'll do is we'll also see if we can find more material. Was mentioning earlier that we've got these old DAT tapes, and hopefully we'll find some old material and we'll share that with you guys as well. But so keep your fingers crossed. We'll find some stuff that we can share with you guys and your audience. Hopefully we'll find some things we can share with you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
They exist somewhere. Dig it up.
We are all honored to have you both on the show tonight. So just thank you again.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
All right, we've come to the end of our show. We've got some more awesome topics lined up for the rest of season 5, so please stick with us to see what we've got cooking. Next month, we're diving into a redo of the topic from season 1, Uranus and Neptune, with returning special guest author CC Gonzalez. Your hosts will be Michi, Rizuki, and myself. We hope some of you will join along for the next stream and share your thoughts too. We are so glad we could bring you this month's episode. We'd especially like to thank tonight's special guests, Michael Benghiat and John Miyagi Author. Please go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself, where they can follow you, if they want to see more of your work. Where can we find you?
I don't really do much social media. Just got tired of it, so I'm not
That's
really
fair.
Yeah.
not much of a presence there. My website's just michaelbenghiat.com, and you can hear anything. I've got a lot of older stuff on there, as well as some things I've been working on recently.
Awesome.
And there's a contact form. If you ever want to contact me, you can do it through the site.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Check it out. There
Hey,
you go.
John Miyagi Author here. I don't really do a ton of social media, and I really haven't been doing a lot of music lately, but I do have an Instagram. You can follow me at John Miyagi. So I'm there. And so you'll see some of my shenanigans, and it's just personal life stuff. But hopefully in the near future, I'll be sharing some more music with everyone. And so you can contact me there.
Thank you so much.
And if you enjoyed the show tonight and you want to see more, please follow us on all our socials. The links are in the link tree in our description. Previous episodes of Eternal Mooncast are available on YouTube. Remember to subscribe and think about hitting that bell to receive our notifications. It would really help YouTube to make sure we can keep growing our little community by telling the algorithm that people like us.
In addition to Eternal Mooncast, you can find episodes of our sister show, the Shoujo Senshi Slumber Party. On BSSP, we are currently rewatching the original 90s English Cloverway dub of Sailor Moon and reacting to that. For our watch-along reactions, they're available on our Patreon for free, and we get together every month for a live stream discussion where we talk about what worked, what didn't, and which monster of the week we'd smash or pass on. Our next discussion episode will be streaming on Saturday, April 11th, with all 5 co-hosts.
That's going to be a lot of chaos.
Yep.
This is going to be really chaotic.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for tuning in and sticking with us to the end. I've been your co-host Relia. There are
All
my
the
socials.
socials. Yeah.
Follow me on all the things.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm spending the entire month drawing circus characters. So
Lots of
go to my
Pilastros.
Tumblr. I'm designing clowns. I just did a human cannonball. That's what I'm currently doing.
They're great. You should go look at them.
Thank you.
I love your Balatros.
Thank you.
I think they're really cool. Can you pop my socials up too?
All right.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to see me for some reason.
Get them.
I
I'm
know, because
sorry.
we like you.
That's
that
fair.
would be the reason.
Sure, if you want to follow me because you like me. Because it's my birthday.
It is.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Birthday.
you. You can follow me down there. I don't really post on Blue Sky very much, though.
As always, I've been your host, Michi. You can find my personal socials at MEW21some_cosplay. If you're into K-pop, head on over to K-pop Voyage, where me and my friends react to K-pop, X-pop, global pop, and beyond.
I'm one of the friends who does that sometimes.
Yes. Likes, comments, follows are some of the best ways to show your support for this show. We love reading all your comments on YouTube. As a quick reminder, these have just been our personal opinions, and we celebrate all respectful Moonie opinions here. We're working hard on the show to be a place for Moonies to come together to discuss their theories, for their love and passion for Sailor Moon. Remember, as Minako once said, there's no crying over spilled silk. Good night.
Good night.
Carry on. Carry on.